His friend Jotay betrayed Yuan and left him surrounded by half of Blue Star. Yuan killed 1,000 enemies before dying inside that trap. Then he awakened days before the killing space descended. This time, every future monster and hidden treasure already lived inside his memory. His gold tier eye of insight exposed every trait inside a target. Killing that target let his system plunder one of those powers. To common zombies gave him super hearing and perfect undead camouflage. From that moment, every monster became fuel for his revenge. On the television, a mob of reporters swarms a middle-aged man in a white shirt. Cameras and microphones thrust in his face. One voice after another demands to know what he makes of the countdown. People have been seen lately, whether there really is an extraterrestrial civilization behind it. Another asks how his investigation team plans to respond with only 6 hours left before the countdown ends. The man clears his throat and says the higher-ups are taking the matter seriously. That discussions are ongoing, and that until a conclusion is reached, he has no comment. Yuan sits on the sofa and stares at the screen, letting the words wash over him. Yuan really was reborn, and it landed him right before the killing space descended. That countdown crawling across the news is not for any extraterrestrial civilization. It is the countdown to the killing space itself. Every 10 days, the space activates and drags 100,000 fresh participants into worlds crawling with monsters. And everyone already knows the guest list by heart: zombies, ghouls, Terminator T-800 machines, aliens, vampires, skeleton hordes, transformers, Godzilla. Any of them can walk out of that space, and the people it selects have exactly one purpose: to survive and to kill as many of those things as they can. Survive and you collect space rewards and become an evolver, the pinnacle of what a person can be. Fail and you die. Before his rebirth, he was nobody. One survivor lost among countless others. In those early days, the space never chose him. So he clawed his strength up inch by inch, killing the monsters that leaked down into reality. It was not until the 9th descent that his name finally came up, that he got to feel what it was to grow strong in a hurry. Then the National Destiny War began. A traitor sold his whereabouts, and half the nations of Blue Star closed in on him at once. Yuan killed 1,000 of them before he fell, but fall he did. Just remembering that man, he feels his breathing thicken and the anger climb. He refused to be a decent human being. He chose of his own free will to be a traitor to his own kind. Now that he has a second run at this, some of those debts he can collect with his own hands. Jotay had made his choice, and Yuan intended to collect that debt personally. A ringtone cuts through his thoughts so familiar it stops him cold. A chirping little jingle about a grandson calling his grandpa. How many years has it been since he heard that sound? Yuan turns and looks at the phone buzzing on the table and the contact saved. As his grandson lights up the screen, plain as day. It takes him a moment to place him. This is his company boss in this life. The one who thinks it is funny to make him save him under that name. And he is calling because he wants him pulling an all-nighter to finish some summary report. Long-buried memories surface. Yuan picks up the phone, hang up on him without a shred of hesitation, and adds the number to his blacklist. The apocalypse is hours from landing. Who in their right mind cares about a summary report? Yuan glances at his wrist where a strange mark sits under the skin. That is the space mark, the doorway into the killing space. When the countdown ends, everyone who can see it will find the same mark on their wrist, and through it, they can step into the space the instant it opens. By rights, he should not have this yet. Not at this point in the timeline. Not according to the life he already lived. But the space mark came back with him. Which means he can walk into the very first descent instead of waiting years for the 9th. Having lived it all once. He knows the order in which every monster appears before the National Destiny War. And he knows the quiet tricks that break certain corners of the space wide open. As long as he stays steady and never moves rashly, he will leave every other survivor eating his dust. Yuan pushes down the excitement and probes the mark with his mind. A string of data unfurls in his head, visible to no one but him. His name reads back as Yuan. His strength sits at 10, governing stamina and physical attack. Constitution is 8, feeding endurance and defense. Speed is 9 for pure velocity and reaction time. Spirit is a surprising 20, covering willpower and mind. And the panel notes that a healthy adult averages 10 across all 4. Talent none. Skill none. Killing value 0. With a reminder that killing monsters earns killing value and killing value by strength. Combat rating none. Yuan frowns at the leftover takeout congealing on the table and lets out a quiet sigh. In a world as steeped in hex tech, there are fragile college kids on every corner. So 8 in Constitution is honestly better than most. At least the 20 in Spirit gives him something to smile about. Then a new notification chimes through, and the God tier trait system comes online. It tells him that killing special beings lets him plunder their traits. That traits rank from lowest to highest as white, yellow, blue, purple, red, and gold. His awakened talent is the Eye of Insight rated gold, an active power that lets him read the traits inside any living thing. A golden cheat. As an old bookworm, how could he not know his system when one lands in his lap, plundering the traits of every creature he kills? Yuan is about to strike it rich. Rebirth foresight in a system all at once. A royal flesh dealt on the opening hand. This run he is ascending to the heavens. Yuan pats his own cheek to stop the corner of his mouth from twitching, and forces his racing heart back down. Small stuff. It is all small stuff. Stay calm. By the newscast. There are less than 6 hours until the space opens, which is plenty of time to go collect that thing. His eyes gleam. After the space descends, certain ordinary objects undergo miraculous changes, and energy pearls are the finest example of it. Normal growth means grinding, killing value from monster kills and spending it on stats. But energy pearls skip the line entirely. Packed with special energy a person can absorb straight into their attributes. Later, survivors came to call them wild free stat points. They are absurdly rare, and few of them ever surfaced in the years he remembers. Most from origins no one could trace. In Hong City, where he lives, he only ever knew of two. One sits inside a stone that props up a stall on the antique street, doing humble duty as a table leg, and he can simply walk over and take it after the vendors pack up late at night. The other hides inside a decoration in a private room at the Pong Chong massage parlor, tucked into the dragon pearl of a double dragon's plane with a pearl ornament. Neither is hard to get. Yuan rises and leaves his apartment. Night has only just fallen, and there is an hour or two before the antique street closes. So, he will hit Pong Chong Street first to go find some tender young company, then corrects himself and focuses on finding the energy pearl. Pong Chong Street is Hong City's busiest adult district, and its largest massage parlor contains the first treasure Yuan remembers. Hidden inside room 688 is a cheap ornament showing a dragon's plane with a pearl. A cleaner discovered its secret in Yuan's previous life, but tonight he arrives first, masked and calm. The receptionist assumes he is an ordinary customer and leads him into the exact private room. Without suspicion, Yuan selects a technician only to keep the staff occupied, then sends her into the shower the moment she arrives. While water runs behind the bathroom door, he crosses the room and pulls the plastic dragon pearl free from its setting. Before midnight it looks worthless, yet the coming descent will transform it into an energy pearl worth more than most survivors ever earn. The treasure slips into his pocket with almost insulting ease. Instead of leaving immediately and attracting attention, Yuan lies down for a genuine massage and waits for the room's paid time to pass. The confused technician keeps offering other services, but he insists that she work on his shoulders and the actual head above his neck. Her disbelief becomes open resentment, although Yuan remains completely serious outside. A police task force launches a surprise raid against the entire district. Officers storm the private rooms, drag embarrassed customers into the corridor, and eventually kick open Yuan's door expecting another scandal. They find a fully dressed technician angrily kneading the shoulders of a man who is doing nothing illegal. Even the veteran team leader needs a moment to understand the painfully ordinary scene. After checking Yuan's identity, the officers release him and waive the parlor fee because the business has been shut down. The technician glares as he leaves, while Yuan quietly enjoys acquiring a future treasure and a free massage in the same visit. From there, he reaches the antique street after closing and retrieves the second energy pearl from a stone used to support a vendor's table. Nobody notices one common stone disappearing, and no one could imagine the fortune sealed inside it. An hour later, he is home with both objects laid on the table, waiting for midnight to rewrite their value. There is a little over an hour until the killing space descends. Now all he does is wait. There is no point prepping for the monsters since nothing outside the space itself can be carried in, except the clothes on his back. Better to conserve his energy than settle his mind for the slaughter ahead. The minutes bleed away, and at the stroke of midnight, everyone who can see the countdown in their eyes finds a space imprint bloom across their wrist. At the same instant, a projection unfurls from the mark into the air, announcing that the killing space is officially open. That everyone bearing a space imprint will be teleported inside in 3 meter-minutes. Then ticking down from 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Yuan ignores the prompt and looks at the table where the stone and the dragon pearl have gone through a spectacular change. The once clear dragon pearl has turned solid gold, brilliant light coiling and flowing within it, deeply strange to look at. The stone has cracked open at some point, and the same golden pearl glows in its heart. 2 energy pearls, treasures that will command millions in the years to come. Sitting right in front of him, Yuan triggers the Eye of Insight and reads them. Each one is named simply as an energy pearl holding special energy that absorbs, strengthens the body, and raises one's attributes by 5 points. Yuan could laugh. Yuan knew energy pearls boosted stats, but he never imagined a single one was worth 5 points. 2 of them make 10. A few more, and he could stroll straight into being a formal evolver. What a shame the things are this rare that finding one comes down to raw luck. With the countdown closing in, he stops overthinking. Pick up both pearls and touch them to his space imprint. A prompt confirms a large volume of special energy and asks him to choose where to send the reinforcement. Yuan splits it into Constitution +7 and Speed +3. The next breath, energy surges out of the pearls and floods through him. The early killing spaces are simple affairs which make stamina and endurance king, because lasting longer means killing more and being winded and shaking after 2 kills gets a person nowhere. Speed matters for the same reason, since running faster is running alive. The energy comes and goes in a blink, and the clearest change is physical. There is less fat on him. His back has stopped aching. His legs no longer throb. And there is real power in his stride. All of it the gift of a constitution that just leapt. His panel refreshes. Strength still 10. But constitution now 15, speed now 12. Spirit holding at 20. Talent the eye of insight at gold. No skills. Killing value still 0. Combat rating still blank. At last, he is not a fragile target. The words are barely out of his head when his vision smears sideways. And when it clears, the whole world around him has changed. A wall of text hangs in the air, welcoming him to the killing space and laying out its laws. The highest rule is to survive. Killing monsters has a chance to drop material cards which cannot be carried out of the space. Killing improves both strength and the rating tallied when survival ends. Non-space items are forbidden inside. Further down, it notes that the space stays open for 1 day and that monsters descend in 10 minutes. The counter reading 9 minutes and 58 seconds. Yuan skims it and confirms it matches what he already carries in his head. The rules appear fresh at every entry, and he only reads them to check whether his being here. The butterfly loose in the timeline has changed anything. Yuan takes in his surroundings. It is a 4-person dormitory, and on the desk sits a freshman student identification card. Yuan steps to the window, glances out, and gets his bearings. Time inside the space runs on its own clock, disconnected from reality. So, while it is the dead of early morning back home here, the sun stands high at midday. And here he is planted in a university dorm. The door cracks open and 2 students walk in. One of them spots him, grins, and says that with no class this afternoon, we should go play some games together. Yuan narrows his eyes, recognizing this is the identity the space has stapled onto him, and shakes his head, telling him the 2 of them should go ahead, that he is about to head out. Yuan drops into a chair, pulls out the phone, and starts hunting for information, because confirming whether the monster data in his memory still holds is the single most important thing he can do right now. The 2 settle onto a bunk and start a match online. A few minutes later, he lets out a quiet breath of relief. His butterfly effect is no problem after all, and the monsters this run are locked in. Still zombies. Online, there is chatter about an unknown virus spreading, which is really a hint the space seeds for anyone lucky and sharp enough to read the monsters off it in advance. Whether a person can actually deduce the answer, though, comes down to their own luck. Yuan puts the phone away, then looks at the pair hunched over their game. Their purpose assigned by the space is brutally simple. When the countdown hits 0, they turn into flesh-eating zombies and come for him. From what he learned last time round, plenty of people trip and fall right here at the starting line. Yuan gets up and walks over, telling them that since they clearly cannot play, they should come watch him dominate. One of them answers without looking up. Attention nailed to the screen, a cold glint slides through his eyes. Yuan strikes in the same instant. 2 hard chops landing on their unguarded necks, and both of them crumple. Yuan digs out a bed sheet and lashes the pair to the bunk, then wait quietly for them to turn. Killing them now would earn him nothing, but once they are monsters, killing them pays in energy and drop cards. That done, he slips out of the room, and 5 minutes later, he is back with the fire axe. Yuan lay it on the desk and simply watch the 2 unconscious bodies until the 10-minute counter runs dry and the monsters descend. The announcement declares that the monsters have come, and the killing begins. And the 2 of them start convulsing, bodies clenching and curling in turns. Their skin shrivels and creases at a sickening pace, a rattan zombie aura seeping off them, the color draining until they are pale as wax. In the span of a breath, they finish the crossing from human to zombie, snapping awake with milky white pupils fixed on him. Thrashing against their bonds, able only to writhe, he turns the eye of insight on them. Both read back as common zombies. Combat rating listed bluntly as scum with plunderable entries of zombie aura at white and super hearing at yellow. Yuan raises an eyebrow, and a spark of real excitement catches in his chest. Zombie aura and super hearing on the very first pair. The space is practically begging him to cheat, and he likes it. Yuan grins, hoists the fire axe, and after a few swings, both zombies are finished. Two prompts confirm the kills and add a killing point apiece, and a third announces that his first zombie kill has unlocked the public platform chat access and trading access. Yuan already knows those inside and out, so he lets them scroll by. What holds his attention are the two orbs of light drifting above the corpses, one white and one yellow, the zombie traits themselves. Yuan reaches out and touches them, and they vanish into his hands. The system confirming he has taken zombie aura at white and super hearing at yellow. Zombie aura once used wraps him in the presence of an ordinary zombie, and super hearing amplifies everything he hears in fine detail. Both powers settle into him the instant he claims them. Super hearing runs passively while zombie aura he can flick on and off at will. His ears twitch, and every sound inside 10 meters snaps into focus, and he catches a mosquito, whining a full meter to his left, its wing beat buzzing as if it were pressed against his eardrum. Normally he would never hear such a thing. His hearing has sharpened several times over. Curious, he switches on the zombie aura. His appearance does not change, but the living warmth of him winks out, replaced by the rotting stench unique to the dead. Judged on aura alone, he is now absolutely a zombie. The catch is that traits of the same grade cannot be plundered twice, only overwritten by a higher grade, and the permission to upgrade traits is not unlocked yet, or he would have farmed these two to the ceiling right here. Still, he is satisfied for now because wearing the zombie aura is an invisibility cheat in a world full of zombies, and that alone will save him an enormous amount of time. Yuan does not hesitate any longer, or active, axe in hand. Yuan opens the door and steps out. The hunt begins. Let him set a modest opening goal. 100 of them. The corridor holds 3 swaying figures, all zombies, and they turn toward the sound of his door and drift his way. Yuan eases back a couple of steps and tightens his grip on the axe out of habit. The nearest one reaches the doorway, sniffs at him, reads that fellow corpse scent, and simply turns to shuffle into the dorm. One, then the second, then the third. All of them doing exactly the same. And he cannot keep the grin off his face. The zombie aura is a genuine miracle. Yuan raises the axe over the little cluster gathered at the door, and like a farmer cutting cabbage, he takes 3 heads clean off. Blood arsing across the walls, 3 more killing points. Then a white translucent card floats up out of one of the bodies and hangs quietly in the air, and he nearly whooped because a drop is no small thing. Yuan snatches it and reads it. It is a card for a Run Fast brand electric scooter described as an electric bike with a green plate that hits 60 kilometers an hour, fast enough to outrun ordinary traffic. Yuan mutters that it is not that they could not catch him. It is that they would pull him over on sight for riding without a helmet, but he pockets it anyway. Using a card is simple. Choose to activate it, and the physical object appears, and once it is real, it can never fold back into card form. When a survivor leaves the killing space, any remaining cards settle automatically into killing points, 100 apiece, which makes them the hard currency of this place and the money everyone will eventually trade in. Cards come in every flavor: supplies, equipment, medicine, and among them survival supplies and medical items are the most hunted both for their low drop rate and for the raw demand. Food and water are the bones of survival. Some killing spaces contain neither. This first one is simple, only a single day, so a person could skip water entirely and be fine. And the value of supplies has not yet made itself felt, but it changes fast. The second opening runs 2 days, the third runs 3, and it climbs from there until a run stretches across days on end. And a survivor without food or water dies without ever understanding how. A drop is a good omen. Yuan keeps moving. Ear cocked, he carries the axe to the next dorm. Kick the door in, and pile inside. 10 seconds later, he walks back out with the blade even redder, and head for the one after. Half an hour on, he finishes clearing yet another room, drop into a chair to rest, and take stock. 3 cards, the Run Fast scooter, a pair of original flavor black stockings, and a brand name pack of daily sanitary pads. 8 to the box. Apart from the transport, none of it means a thing to him. But there is a saying that surfaces in the years ahead that there are no useless cards, only the wrong scenario and the wrong person. Picture a woman in the killing space caught by a sudden heavy period, and suddenly those sanitary pads outrank water and food both. The stockings are the same because if you were going to rob a bank, how would anyone know your intentions without one pulled over your face? Useless to him, then, is a very different thing from useless. Yuan can trade every scrap of it to someone in need for something he actually wants. Yuan puts the cards away, steady his mind, and open the chat channel. It is already a landslide of hundreds of messages, and almost all of it is noise. Someone is trapped in a hotel bathroom begging for toilet paper. Someone is shaken by the feeling of their first kill. Someone is terrified that an injury will turn them. Someone is asking if anyone else is in the mall. Yuan shakes his head. Every message here costs a killing point to send. And these people are hemorrhaging their points on chatter with no idea what they are throwing away. Finding nothing useful, he turns to the trading platform, and it is bare. Not a single listing. Either no one has pulled a card, or they burn them on the spot, or they simply have not worked out what the platform is for. His eyes narrow because he smells profit. Right now he is the only person alive who knows cards settle into killing points. And that information gap is a door he can walk through to hoover up everyone else's cards for a song. Yuan only needs to wait a little. They have barely arrived. Too few cards have surfaced and nobody is fat yet. Wait until they are plump, then harvest. For now it is all about killing more faster. Yuan glances down at the badly blunted axe and stood. The axe is too slow. Yuan needs a real weapon. Even with the cheat in hand, he is hacking zombies apart with the crudest tool imaginable. And his original plan simply does not fit anymore. Out of the dorm building, he produces a scooter key from thin air. Press the horn and stroll along the row of bikes below. Two chirps sound and one set of headlights blinks twice. Yuan grins. You is the one. Ignoring the surprise looks from the zombies loitering nearby. Yuan hops on, turns the matching key, set up his phone's navigation, and point himself at the nearest police bureau. Yuan hums a little tune under his breath about his beloved little scooter that never gets stuck in traffic, cruising across the campus, drawing the odd glance from the zombies he passes. Though the moment they catch that same kind sun off him, they lose all interest. Passing a lecture building, he catches a cry for help. A woman shouting for the handsome man to save her. Yuan stops and looks up. A tall woman in pajamas stands on an outdoor air conditioner unit on the second floor, terrified, waving both arms at him. Between the size of her movements and the state of her clothes, a few things that ought to stay hidden are not staying hidden, though she plainly could not care less right now. Through an open window beside her, several zombies lean out, clawing at the empty air. And below her, another cluster has gathered. There is no path up to the heavens and no path down to the earth. Yuan calls up to her to believe in herself and stays exactly where she is. Joy floods her face, impossible to hide, and she nods frantically and swears she will not move. She will not. And before she can finish the sentence, he flicks his wrist, turns the scooter around, and rides off. Adults are responsible for their own choices. Why would he save her? As long as she does what he said and kept still, she lives. Her spot is a dead end, sure. But this killing space runs only one day with no mission requirements attached. A pure welfare bureau. Even a person who never eats or drinks gets teleported out with rewards when the clock runs down. There is no reason on earth to save anyone. Behind him, the woman collapses into shrieking, screaming for him to come back, calling him a bastard, demanding to know if he is even a man, begging him to come save her. Yuan twists the throttle and rides faster. See, that is human nature laid bare. In the years to come, people grow used to this. Inside the space, saving your own skin is the only law that matters. And anyone who casts himself as the protagonist or the savior learns within an hour at the outside exactly what the phrase human cruelty really means. Let go of the urge to help and respect the fate of others. That is the code of the killing space. Along the way, he passes more survivors, some shouting at him from inside buildings, some already half dead, one or two even trying to seduce him across, though none of them has the capital to earn much of his attention. For survivors in one school, the density is a bit high for his taste. There are 100,000 people in this run, but subtract the ones who died the moment the monsters landed, and the ones who burrowed away to hide, and only tens of thousands remain. Those are scattered across a city the size of a provincial capital, so stumbling across for living people in a single school is genuinely a lot. Most likely, the space eased the difficulty for its opening act, nudging survivors together so they could huddle for warmth. Yuan twists the throttle, and the little scooter darts off campus, following the navigation toward his target. The streets are chaos, storefronts torn open, all of it wreckage from the descent, and cars sit abandoned so thickly they nearly wall the road off. Which makes him glad he never grabbed an actual car because he would still be trapped back. At the campus gate, the scooter is far better. Yuan rides along happily, picking his tune back up. His beloved little scooter that never gets stuck in traffic. Unless, of course, there is road construction ahead. Yuan is forced to a stop. there is road construction ahead. Fencing thrown straight across the road, and through the barrier he can see several deep pits, and a few thick pipes laid out beside them. An honest, legitimate sewer repair. Yuan grumbles that his navigation is garbage, that it cannot even flag a construction site. 1 star. Fortunately, the police bureau is close now, about a kilometer off, so he simply abandons the scooter and goes the rest of the way on foot. At the entrance to the police bureau, a thrown stone cracks against a trash can in the courtyard, and the noise pulls the attention of several figures loitering inside. Zombies that stagger toward the sound. In a shop across the way, 2 men crouch behind a cracked open door watching. The one in black-rimmed glasses pumps his fist and whispers that it worked, that they have finally coaxed the zombies out. The other, his face a field of acne, looks frightened and asks nervously whether they truly have to take this risk. Whether staying put would not be the smarter play. The man in glasses fixes him with a serious look, pushes the frames up his nose, and says they have no choice. That by his years of reading web novels, these zombies will absolutely evolve, and once they do, the 2 of them are dead for certain. Only weapons will keep them breathing, he insists, or their excellent starting position goes to waste. The 2 had been wildly lucky. When they first appeared, they landed near the police bureau, and after the descent, they both scrambled into a lingerie shop, killed the owner in a strange bit of panic, then holed up inside, and did not dare set foot outside again. Once the man in glasses understood the situation, his persecution complex flared, and he resolved to arm himself. The bureau sat conveniently near, but it was packed with zombies, so the man with glasses, steeped in Sun Tzu, settled on a diversion, which is how the scene at the trash can came to be. Through his tireless efforts, he had lured the few wandering zombies out of the courtyard, meaning the conditions to slip inside. The acne-faced man is still uneasy, pointing out that there are 5 zombies in the courtyard alone. No telling how many more inside, and only the 2 of them. The glasses man tells him there's nothing to fear, that they will not solve this by force because unlike zombies, they have brains and they will do exactly what worked before, using feints to lure the dead away. Worst case, he adds, running away is always the finest strategy of all since zombies cannot catch them anyway. He says he will pack a few things, and then they can move. Just then, the acne-faced man grabs his sleeve and jabs a finger out the door, telling him to look quickly because there is actually a person out there. The glasses man waves him off dismissively, saying, of course, there are people. There are 100,000 of them, so stop making a scene. The acne-faced man insists that no. This guy walks straight down the street, and the zombies did not attack him. That snaps the man with glasses' head around, and he crouches by the doorway to look. What he sees is a young man ambling down the street calm and unhurried, while the zombies shifting conversation around him take no notice at all. Showing not the faintest urge to attack, he mutters that this is unreasonable, that he does not understand it, and the acne-faced man adds that the stranger's destination looks like the police station, too. The glasses man echoes it, uneasy, that the stranger has the very same idea he does. By then, he has reached the entrance and found several zombies in police uniforms circling a trash can. Yuan stares at it, honestly, confused because there is nothing special about it. No severed limbs, no scattered bones, nothing to explain the fascination. The puzzlement lasts about a second before he stops caring and steps into the courtyard. A few paces and though he stops, turns back, and tells the zombies to knock it off, circling the trash can and gets back to their post. Whether they follow the words or just the tone, they trade blank looks and actually shuffle back toward the station entrance to resume their wandering. Yuan nods satisfied. More guards on the door means a safer bureau. Then he turns and walks inside. Across the street, the man with glasses very nearly detonates. He hisses that the stranger did it on purpose, that he spent a solid half-hour engineering that diversion, and the man undid it with a single sentence, and he damns him to the depths. Every scrap of his composure is gone, and no one in his position would stay calm either. The acne-faced man clamps him down, terrified that if he gets any louder, he will draw the zombies outside, and points out that the real question is why the dead did not attack the stranger, and why they obeyed him. The glasses man forces a long breath and his cleverness reasserts itself. He agrees the man was neither attacked nor ignored, which makes him deeply abnormal. Unless he trails off. Unless what? The acne-faced man presses. Unless he found some treasure. The man with glasses reasons, but no, that is wrong. A treasure might keep the zombies from attacking, but could never make them obey. Then he recalls that the stranger addressed the zombies as you all, the way you would speak to your own, and the acne-faced man confirms it. The glasses man's face takes on the look of a man whose theory has just clicked into place, and he pushes his glasses up and declares that there is only one explanation left. The stranger is not a survivor at all. He is a zombie, a high-level one. Just like in the apocalypse novels, he explains second evolution zombies were near human faces. Some carry strange abilities and they can command the lower dead. The acne-faced man's mouth falls open in understanding. But the man with glasses' expression curdles because high-level zombies have keen senses. Which means the two of them must move now, or they will die without knowing how. He turns to pack again, and the acne-faced man seizes his arm. Because the stranger just herded a handful of zombies right up against their shop, and the two of them are boxed in. Meanwhile, he has gone deeper into the station and found far more zombies, most in police uniform. Yuan sweeps through the areas fast and stops at a stairwell, where he finds what he came for. The building blueprints. A quick search turns up his target, the Special Police Equipment Department, and he knows without doubt the gear he needs is waiting there. 10 minutes later, he stands before rows of weapons and ammunition and cannot help but smile. Yuan steps in and starts choosing. No body armor, too heavy. A tactical vest will do fine. Night vision goggles, excellent. Since darkness is only hours out, and they will earn their keep. To submachine guns since he cannot haul more than that. Bullets, the more the better. Tear gas and flashbangs, a handful for insurance. Fully kitted out, he only regrets finding no grenades. But grenades are tightly controlled special issue items. This being no lawless foreign country. And even a special police unit needs stacks of approvals to draw them. No grenades. Then no grenades. What he has is enough. Looking over the barely dented armory, he opens the trading platform and lists the stun guns, batons, flashbangs, riot shields, and body armor for barter. 1 card each, any type accepted. Yuan holds back the submachine guns and rifles for now because listing those would send lethal weapons flying across the space. And if someone decided to scheme against him and used one to ambush him, he would have nowhere to cry about it. Stun guns are harmless, single-use, short-ranged, slow, and capable of killing. Good for a muscle spasm at most. No threat to him at all, and he has no doubt someone will bite. If not now, then certainly by nightfall, because no one alive resists a temptation like this. Yuan scans the emptier warehouse and leaves. The slaughter resumes, though not inside the station just yet, since he needs these zombies to guard the ammunition and keeps anyone from raiding it. Yuan steps out fully armed, deliberately herds every zombie outside into the courtyard, then swing the courtyard gate shut so their noise cannot leak out and set them wandering, and head off toward the nearby street. The glasses man, watching the gate lock with nearly 10 zombies penned inside, chokes down a low roar and swears to be the stranger as mortal enemy for life. The acne-faced man claps a hand over his mouth, begging him to stay calm, then points out that from another angle, this is a gift, that there are no zombies at their entrance now, and they can finally run, that they ought to thank the high-level zombie even. The glasses man mutters that he will thank the man's grandmother. A minute later, the two of them choose to leave, surrendering to their fear, because this place is too cursed to endure another second, and neither of them can hold it in any longer. By the time those to flee, he is already up on the roof of a shop 1 street over, looking down at the zombies scattered below. From somewhere, he produces a bundle of firecrackers a handspan long, flick a lighter to them, and toss them down. The detonation tears across the whole street and into the ones beside it, and the zombies turn as one and start striding toward him. Yuan waits in silence. When the first bundle burns out, he bends and grabs another from the box behind him, and the noise never breaks, dragging more and more of the dead into the gathering below until the crowd swells at a rate he can watch with his own eyes. Looking at the pile of them, he grins. Slaughter begin. Both hands on a submachine gun. Yuan opens up on the horde below without even bothering to aim. Muzzle flame licks out, bullets pour into the mass, and in moments, blood is everywhere and roars rise without pause. The whole scene drenched in savagery. To him, it is nothing. Yuan has seen far worse. Can you picture the feeling of a close comrade stomped into a sphere of meat, his blood raining over you? After enough of those, a slaughter like this stirs no ripple in him at all. All that is left is excitement, the thrill of finally standing above it, ruling the life and death of monsters like a god instead of scraping to survive them. And the reversal of roles pulls him in deep. The gunfire runs several minutes. His bullets are nearly gone, and the muzzle has grown so hot the air along it warps. But the result is worth it. Not a single zombie left upright, the whole street carpeted in limbs and blood, a river of it. Yuan checks his count. Killing value reads 320. Looking at a number above 300, a surge of raw pride lifts in him. In his last life, after clawing through a whole killing space, 100 kills was a proud haul. And clearing the dead by the hundreds like this was something he never even dreamed. From a starting point this high, as long as he does not stumble later, his record will stand unrivaled. And all this stored killing value converts to a mountain of strength when settlement comes. After each killing space closes, the survivors first enter a settlement space where accumulated killing value buys special goods. Yuan draws a breath, frowns at the wreckage, and waits down into the blood and limbs to gather cards. The one truly unpleasant part, since they have to be picked up by hand. The drop rate is low enough that it is not much trouble. And after all that killing, he comes away with only 8 branded shampoo, a 200 milliliters bottle, a sterilizing spray, a single high explosive grenade, 3 550 milliliters mineral waters, 2 packs of fish-flavored shredded pork. All of it has its uses. Shampoo looks worthless until you spend a long run in a forest space, with your hair matted into ropes, and then a single bottle is bliss. No useless cards, only the wrong scenario. Yuan pockets the lot and tucks the grenade card away on its own so he can pull it instantly. When danger comes, a habit he built in the world to come, 3 people come pelting out of the far end of the street, one shouting for the others to run, that the guy is right behind them. Another calling that this way is clear of zombies. They keep throwing looks over their shoulders as if something monstrous is on their heels. Then they take in the street ahead, slam to a stop, bodies locking up on their own, and stare at him, the only thing standing amid the heap dead with horror on their faces. One stammers that the ground is covered in dead zombies, and another snaps that he does not need telling. He has eyes. Wangbo's group had run out of luck too. His group had found one another and huddled together in a shop for warmth. And when a burst of firecrackers dragged every zombie off the street, they eyed the underground supermarket across the way and got ideas. After a little planning, they slipped in for weapons, only to blunder straight into a mutated zombie and could do nothing but flee for their lives, down whatever path opened, never expecting to hit a scene like this before they had even shaken the mutated zombie off. Truly a river of blood and bodies. One of them gags, but with an empty stomach brings up only a mouthful of spit. Another is the first to place his gear and cries that the standing one is human, that he has weapons, that they are saved, then bolts toward him, insisting they are human, unharmed, and begging him to turn his guns on the zombie chasing them. A wall at the street's end burst open and a body nearly 3 meters tall shoulders into view. It is a zombie, but no ordinary one. Its skin intact where a common zombie's is rotted, its muscles bulging into the shape of a demonic strongman, each thick arm about the girth of his thigh. Yuan triggers the Eye of Insight. It reads back as a mutated zombie. Combat rating 1-star early stage. Carrying zombie aura at yellow, super hearing at yellow, and power enhancement at yellow. A glint crosses his eyes. So, it truly is a mutated zombie, in his last life. People whispered of stranger zombies in the first killing space, varied and dangerous, but vanishingly rare. And he never crossed one on his whole way here. Yet, by standing still, he has made one deliver itself to his door. Yuan wants that power enhancement. The 1-star early rating does not concern him. Combat rating is simply the space's own yardstick for strength. A single attribute over 30 earns 1 star, and every 30 points beyond that adds another, with early, middle, and late gradations inside each star set by every 10 points in the highest stat. The mutated zombie's strongest stat is surely its strength, which clears 30, but being 1 star early falls short of 40. 3 or 4 times an ordinary person's power and explosiveness then. But against his weapons in his experience, no real problem. Across the way, the mutated zombie studies him, puzzled. It had taken him for human, but a closer look tells it he is a zombie, which leaves it stuck on why every zombie on the ground is dead, and this one alone stands. Its meager mind cannot chew on a riddle like that for long, so it spares him a couple more glances and returns its attention to the 3 fleeing figures. Then it roars at him, a sound neither man nor beast, and between the roar and its stare, he can actually read its meaning, that this little guy should stop those 3 pieces of food. The little guy part he adds himself since beside a 3-meter setter behemoth. His ordinary height does make him little, but the next moment, the mutated zombie's face goes utterly baffled. The 3 stopped, yes, but why does it look like the little guy is standing there chatting with them, almost treating with its food? It does not understand, and its cramped little brain strains at the effort at his feet. The 3 have closed and led by a man shy of 30 in a floral shirt and jeans. Wangbo. He warns him to be careful that the thing is very strong. Yuan spares them a glance and tells them coldly to get lost. To them, his manner is ice. Warmth answered with frost, and though they are displeased, they do not dare push it because he has a gun. Their eyes crawl over the submachine gun in his hands, the pistol, and the taser at his waist, and they swallow with naked envy. Then a shrewd light kindles in Wang Bo's eyes, and instead of leaving, he asks whether he might spare them a weapon. A taser says since for fighting the monster together stand a better chance. He is clever, asking for neither the submachine gun nor the pistol, the true killing tools no man hands a stranger, and pitching only the taser, which is short-ranged, dodgeable, non-lethal, and something a man carrying a submachine gun surely would not miss. To sweeten it, he adds that he needs not worries, that they are all ants on one string now, that they mean him no harm, that he still holds the real firepower, and that they swear to return the taser the moment the monster is down. The other to nod and echo him, their grief for his gear plain as day. Yuan sneers inwardly. Their scheming is so bald, it is practically slapping him across the face. Hand them a weapon, and they will never give it back because promises inside the killing space are worth nothing. Not so much as the punctuation mark at the end. Yuan has no interest in wasting breath, so he decides to persuade them by other means. Yuan swings the gun toward the three and spits out a single word, scram. Their cheeks twitch, and inwardly they curse him for a fool who cannot see a good thing. One of the younger ones cannot help protesting that everyone is only trying to survive. That sticking together is what keeps people alive. A gunshot answers him and his head burst, spraying blood across Wang Bo, and the last man who frees where they stand, drain white, the word murder screaming through their heads. While they stare, he turns the gun on them. One of them starts to say no. 2 more shots, and both drop. If they will not leave, then they can stay. Yuan lets the words hang and turns his gaze back to the mutated zombie. On the 4th floor of a building in the distance, 2 men watch through a window, faces pale, having been drawn to the commotion of the mutated zombie and caught the whole thing from their hiding spot. One plainly, the underling murmurs that this is a ruthless man, that beyond the zombie's people cannot be trusted either, that it is all too dangerous. His companion hums agreement, eyes gleam as he points at him, and asks whether the underling saw what the man asks. That man's weapon says get hold of it, and they can walk sideways through the whole space. But he will never give it up. The underling protests, lets out a low knowing chuckle, and says that zombie is nothing to trifle with, and that perhaps, just perhaps, they will get there. The mutated zombie roars and charges. It had been idling in place, but his killing the 3 morsels without eating them read in its eyes as pure contempt, a provocation it could not swallow. And if it could not swallow it, then it would fight. Its body launches forward with crushing momentum, each footfall trembling the ground, a full display of its power. Yuan keeps his face flat and runs the numbers in his head. Strong in the arms, defense far from soft, but mercifully dull, and its speed lags well behind its strength, though it is still a touch faster than him with intolerance. Decision made. Yuan chooses suppressive fire and trusts that his remaining ammunition will be enough. Yuan raises the gun and hoses the mutated zombie down, firing as he backpedals under the downpour is riddled before it ever reaches him. Every round boring into its frame and wrecking its body, but a zombie is a corpse at heart, and as long as its head and spine hold, it will not truly die. So it crosses its arms over its head and keeps coming, slow to a fraction of its charge, and he can just hold it at the edge. Then a string of empty click sounds. The gun in his left hand is dry, its last few rounds spent in that final wave. Yuan tosses the empty submachine gun aside and keeps firing with the right, while his left hand dives into his jacket. A card comes out, then blurs into a black high-explosive grenade. At this point, he does not care about the 100,000 killing value it cost him, because killing this thing and seizing its entries makes every point worth it. Yuan pulls the pin, hurls it at the mutated zombie, and turns to run. The blast rolls down the street like thunder, throwing up a wall of dust, and he rides it out behind cover, watching the sight. As the dust thins, the aftermath resolves. A shallow crater in the road and the mutated zombie sprawled at its lip, still struggling. Half its body simply gone, its remaining legs stripped to bone, its torso a ruin. Wounds that would have finished a person long ago. But a zombie can bite with nothing left but a head, so it drags itself toward him on the one arm it has, leaving a smear of blood behind. Yuan walks toward it cold, dropping the second spent submachine gun as he goes and drawing the spare pistol from his waist. Up close, he finds it still hauling itself forward one-handed, and he levels the muzzle at its skull and fire. The confirmation lands. Mutated zombie killed. 100 killing value gained. There we go. The killing value is back. In the far building, Huang Qi remains stunned to the fight, drinks in his gear and grows greedier. Then something sour his face. The man had a grenade too. A shame there was no chance for both sides to bleed each other out. His underling notes that the man does not even look injured and asks what they do now. Huang Qi narrows his eyes and says the plan has changed, that they go downstairs and follow him. Why follow? The underling asks, "Are you slow?" Huang Qi says, "He burned through that many zombies, so his ammunition has to be nearly dry, which means he will go resupply. And all they need to do is trail him." He warms to it as he talks, as if a whole armory were unfurling before him. But even with weapons, the underling asks, will he simply hand them over? Hand over what? Huang Qi scoffs. The weapons were never his to begin with, and unless he stands guard over them every second, the moment he steps away is their opening. Yuan has no notion of these two and their plots. Yuan is busy with real work. The system confirms his haul. Zombie aura at yellow, and strength enhancement at yellow. Zombie aura at yellow wraps him in the presence of a mutated zombie, so that ordinary zombies steer clear of him on their own and can be commanded with ease. While strength enhancement greatly amplifies his power, super hearing he could not take being a duplicate, so only the other to fold into him. The next instant his zombie aura swells several times over until it matches the dead giant's exactly, though there is no ordinary zombie nearby to test it on. At the same time, a torrent of strengthening energy erupts through him, his muscles carving into hard definition, and to his relief, he does not balloon into a lumbering brute like the zombie. Instead, it is a pure rise in muscle and bone density tuned to fit the body he already has. Yuan had honestly feared turning into a hulking mass. So, seeing this, he lets go of the worry at once. Anything the system builds is first rate. In the span of a few seconds, his whole body feels remade, power humming from head to toe. Yuan checks his attributes on reflex, strength 33, constitution 15, speed 12, spirit 20. His talents now the eye of insight at gold, zombie aura at yellow, super hearing at yellow, and strength enhancement at yellow. No skills. Killing value for 120, combat rating 1-star initial. A single strength enhancement lifted his strength a full 23 points, from 10 up to 33, carrying it past 30 and into the 1-star initial rating. Yuan knew claiming entries might raise stats, and still he can barely hold himself together seeing it laid out in front of him. Everyone else improves only when they leave the space. Yuan improves inside it, and the whole method is simply to kill. Who else can do that? After a moment, he settles and looks at the other thing the mutated zombie dropped. A white card mark not like the ordinary ones, but with a great question mark. A lottery card dropped only by mutated monsters. Good for one random pull from a pool of special supplies, special equipment, rare treasures, even raw attribute points. Yuan picks it up, rubs his hands together at the blind box thrill of it, nervous and eager both, and chooses to use it. The lottery resolves into a set of special nanotech combat armor, described as constant temperature regulation, pressure regulation, self-cleaning, fireproof, waterproof, durable, and able to change its appearance at will. Actual nanotech armor, he could shout. The description reads, plain, but the value is enormous. The killing space is not always a cool autumn day. It can be brutal cold, blistering heat, even a negative pressure zone, and survivors must budget for the environment as much as the monsters. So, this armor multiplies his odds outright. Its defense dwarfs any ordinary clothing, shrugging off basic firearms, and short of armor-piercing rounds or special weapons, it will scarcely wear at all. A whole extra layer over his defense. In his last life, every set of that surface sold for astronomical sums, and he has no idea how much he bled to finally own one back then. Yet, here it is, dropped into his hands this time. Yuan strips off his clothes without ceremony, pulls on the nanotech armor, and shape it into the look of a special forces combat suit. Perfect. Yuan sweeps the area one more time, finds nothing else worth taking, and turns back toward the police station, resupply, and continues. Not long after he goes, two figures step out onto the street, Huang Qi and his underling, and Huang Qi tells him to move, to follow, and to keep his distance. A few minutes later, he returns to the bureau's exterior, and his face falls at once. The courtyard gate hangs open, and inside the dozen or so zombies he pinned there lie dead across the ground. Raided, he stomps once and rushes inside without another thought. Behind a broad tree in the far corner of the courtyard, a mutated zombie idly prods a corpse with its pitch-black nails as if hunting for something. Then, sensing a presence, it vanishes from the spot and reappears at the base of the tree. And what it finds is him already vaulting into the bureau. It reads the zombie aura on him, tilts its head, and a flicker of thought crosses its eyes. Just as it moves to give chase, its head snaps toward the courtyard gate where two men crouch in a storefront across the way, spying on the bureau. Huang Qi and his underling. The underling murmurs that so Yuan got his weapons here, and Huang Qi agrees, pointing out that every zombie in the courtyard is dead by Yuan's hand. Should they charge in now? The underling asks, charge with what? Huang Qi snaps, "Your life," and tells him to wait until Yuan leaves. Then the underling spots a small zombie, a child at a doorway across the street walking their way. Huang Qi studies the small figure, then decides they should attack while no other zombies are nearby. He doubts himself against an adult, but assumes a child will be easy. The two of them charge out of the shop, weapons up, and in the next instant, both of them stop dead because the zombie child is gone. They had seen it not 3 seconds before rushing out, and there is no way it could have vanished in that time. The underling stammers that the place cannot be haunted, and Huang Qi cracks him across the back of the head, snapping that nothing is haunted, that the rules said plainly there is only one kind of monster to a space, and here that is zombies, no ghost allowed. But the child really disappeared. The underling insists it probably slipped back into the courtyard. Huang Qi decides and says they should go look, that a little one is hard to find, and they cannot let it get away. The two of them stand shoulder to shoulder, wary, scanning ahead for the child. Then Huang Qi feels something poking again, then again at his kidney. Without looking, Huang Qi reaches back and swats at the object, grumbling that his companion's weapon keeps jabbing him in the kidney. The underling protests that it is not him, that his own weapon is up. "Nonsense," Huang Qi says, and grabs the thing behind him, a cold, flat, long object. He starts to say that he is holding it right now. So if it is not the underling, then who? And the words die. His body goes rigid, and he turns his head slow to look behind him. A mutated zombie stands there, curiously extending one finger, its long nails clamped in his awkward grip. Huang Qi screams that it is a zombie and crashes the baseball bat in his right hand against its skull. The bat shatters in his terrified hands, and the mutated zombie recoils its head, dazed. "Run," he croaks, and in that razor of a crisis, whether from panic or some buried instinct, he drops the broken stub of the bat, wheels around, and bolts. By the time he is 2 meters clear, the underling finally remembers his own legs and scrambles after him. The blow snuffs out the mutated zombie's curiosity in an instant, replaced by naked butchery. It roars, stomps, and blurs into a black streak after the underling. Its fingers spear out 5 long nails driving into the man's kidney, then withdraw, tearing free a bloody kidney and a broad sheet of skin. The underling shrieks once and folds to the ground, twitching. Huang Qi hears it behind him, glances back, shudders down to his bones, claps both hands over his own kidneys, and somehow runs faster still. Though the posture is a strange thing to behold, the mutated zombie's murder only sharpens. It lifts the torn kidney, swallows it, licks its lips as if still hungry, then reaches down and plucks the underling's other kidney into its palm. The man screams, both kidneys gone, struggles for 2 seconds, and goes silent for good. The mutated zombie gulps down the second kidney, looks at Huang Qi, already stumbling into the bureau compound, and lifts a foot to follow. Huang Qi is running blind with panic, and without meaning to, he has fled into the bureau's courtyard. He hauls the gate shut behind him, praying it buys a little time against the thing, then throws himself at the building. One thought consuming him: get inside, find that man, and live. He makes it through the entrance, opens a door, closes it, and throws the lock in a single flowing motion. And with a heavy door between him and the world, he feels at last that he has a chance to breathe. He pants against it, but the moment does not allow much thought, since finding that man is all that matters. So, he turns to take stock of the room. His body locks, and the relief drains from his face and freezes there. Dozens of eyes are trained on him, zombies. The bureau is full of zombies, and he has run headlong into a nest. No, he babbles. Impossible. He watched the man walk in. How can there be this many zombies still standing? How could the man not have killed them? Then the zombies erupt, roaring, and swarm him while he screams that this cannot be real, that he does not want to die. Yuan remains unaware of any of this at the entrance. His ammunition is replenished, the depot door locked again behind him, and he strolls out through the hall, where he glances in surprise at the zombies thrashing chaos. A zombie free-for-all. Why are they fighting each other? Yuan looks at the exit door blocked, and scoffs coldly, telling them to break it up, and behaves. At his words, the frenzied motion stutters. In the next instant, as if the meaning lands, they scatter in every direction. Yuan could laugh. Before, he never could have done this, but with zombie aura yellow, he has real precise command over the ordinary dead now. As they disperse, he notices a bloody, mangled shape on the floor, and his eyebrow lifts. Since when do zombies eat one another? Are they that hungry? Yuan does not dwell on it. Yuan steps to the door, kicked the ruined corpse aside, hauled it open, and walked out, telling them to be good and guard the house, and if they get hungry, to go find something to eat on their own. With that one last sentence, he pulls the door shut behind him again. Yuan walks toward the courtyard gate, unhurried, the ammunition heavy, and welcome at his hip. Then his ears twitch, super hearing snagging on something behind him, and he whips his head to the side just as a dark shape comes screaming in. Before he can bring anything up, a hot spike of pain drives into his lower back, and a force with real weight behind it throws him staggering 3 steps sideways. Old habit catches him. Yuan plants his feet, rides the momentum forward another pace or two, and fetches up against a flower bed. And only then does he turns and looks back at the spot he was standing in. A mutated zombie stands there, shaped like a child, head cocked, studying him. Yuan turns the eye of insight on it. It reads back as a mutated zombie combat rating 1-star mid-stage carrying zombie aura at yellow. Super hearing at yellow, and speed enhancement at yellow. A 1-star middle stage build with speed past 40. So this is the little one from the courtyard. Yuan reaches back and touches the ache in his spine. The nanotech armor is whole, not so much as a scratch on it, and he lets out a quiet breath of relief. Had he still been wearing his old clothes, that swipe would have opened him up. And a wound itself is nothing. It is the virus riding on those pitch-black nails that kills you. Ever since the rebirth, every step has gone smooth. Entries falling into his lap one after another, and somewhere along the line, he lets his guard slack. Familiarity with the space is not the same as safety. This is a killing space, not a holiday. The mutated zombie lunges again, and again, it goes straight for his kidneys. Whether out of some appetite, or just because that is the height it hits at, Yuan does not overthink it. Yuan brings the submachine gun up and hose it down, aiming deliberately low, legs and head. It has clearly never met a firearm because it does not dodge at all, and a storm of rounds chews into it, staggering its legs until it nearly folds to the ground. Then it snaps out of it, growls low, and blurs sideways behind a broad tree before he can finish it. Behind the trunk, it is leaking black blood from a dozen holes, a chunk of its neck torn away, one leg open to the bone, and that last wound should bite hard into all that speed. The red glow in its eyes deepens, killing intent, sharpening past anything it is shown. But the gunfire keeps rolling, and it does not dare break cover. Yuan does not dare stop either. Yuan keeps the trigger working and drift his position, feeding rounds into the tree while he runs the fight in his head. This thing is too fast. When it moves, he sees nothing but a black smear, and that makes it worse to handle than the power build, because speed really does settle the fight. It has one saving grace is the same as the last one's. A dull little mind he can turn against it. Yuan twists his waist by instinct, quietly asking his kidneys to hold together a while longer. While he thinks it climbs, it has gone up the far side of the tree to the crown. Cold eyes fixed on him, waiting for the one thing it needs for his guns to run dry. The moment his fire cuts out and an empty mechanical click takes its place, it takes its opening. It drops off the tree as an after image and is in his face in a heartbeat, 5 fingers spreading toward his kidneys. A cold light crosses his eyes. The empty gun was theater. Only his left weapon truly ran dry, and his right hand simply stopped squeezing to sell the lie. All of it built for this exact instant. As its claws close on his waist, he does not flinch away. Yuan lets it grab, trusting the armor to eat the pain, and twist his right wrist so the muzzle swings up into its body and open fire. Rounds pour through it at point-blank range. It reacts fast, throwing an arm over its skull to save its head. But the head is all it can save, and the rest of it comes apart under the barrage. Then it flashes to his left, reading somehow that the weapon on that side is spent. Springs up and rasps for his unguarded face. If the waist will not break, it will open the face instead. Yuan stays perfectly cold. In pure combat experience, this thing cannot stand in the same room as him. Yuan snaps the empty left gun up vertical to catch the claws, let the dead weapon in his right hand drop away, and drive an uppercut straight into its chin. 33 points of strength land on that little jaw and cave it up into its mouth, and the blow flings the whole body upward. While it hangs there, he pivots and whips a spinning side kick into the leg that is not touched down, and the joint folds the wrong way with a wet crack before the force hurls it clear across the yard. You are fast, are you? Let him take a leg, and we will see how fast you run. Yuan holds his ground and does not chase because it is still a zombie, and one lucky graze during a combo could put the virus in him with nowhere left to run. The leg is crippled, and that is enough. It slams down, tries to spring up out of reflex, and drops flat, the broken leg refusing to launch. Yuan lets himself taunt it, telling it to go on and jump. Go on and run. Yuan will just stand right here and wait. Then he thumbs a fresh magazine into the right gun, level it at the thing thrashing on the ground, and puts a burst through its skull. The prompt confirms the mutated zombie is dead and hands him a 100,000 killing value, and a yellow orb of light drifts up off the corpse. Yuan steps over and takes it and the system tells him he has claimed speed enhancement at yellow, that it will sharply raise his speed. A tingle runs down both legs. The bone and muscle density that was already reinforced once tightening further, and raw power keeps welling up out of them. His panel resets and he reads it off in his head. Strength 33, Constitution 15. Speed jumps to 40, Spirit 20. His talents now the Eye of Insight at gold with Zombie Aura, Super Hearing Power Enhancement, and Speed Enhancement. All at yellow, no skills. Killing value 520. Combat rating holding at 1 star mid-stage. That speed enhancement handed him 28 points, more even than power enhancement gave. And it carried his speed to 40 on the nose, just scraping into 1 star mid-stage. It is not that the speed zombie outranked the power zombie, only that it spent itself differently. A power build has to pour points into both strength and constitution. Or where would all that bulk come from? While this little one dumped nearly everything into a single stat and let the rest wither. That imbalance is exactly what just paid him. Smiling, he turns to the lottery card the mutated zombie left behind. Grab it and use it on the spot. The lottery resolves into a single awakening potion, described as a mature, stable oral formula with no side effects. One that gives a high chance of awakening your innate talent. It runs 300 killing value in the killing space store. And he had meant to buy a bottle at settlement, never expecting one to fall out of a corpse for free. Speak of a thing, and it appears. Nothing matters more than this right now. So, he abandons the idea of killing and heads straight back to the armory. Inside, he shut the door, confirmed the room is safe, and tipped the whole vial down his throat. Heat blooms out from his core and races through him, his body temperature climbing so fast that on a thermometer, the surface reading would leap from 30-some degrees to 40 in a blink. The fire comes hard and leaves just as hard, gone in under 5 minutes. Then the confirmations roll in. His innate ability has awakened. Yuan has obtained a dimensional space starting at 1 cubic meter of independent room for storing non-living things. The system detects the awakening, converts the ability into a trait, and hands him dimensional space at white, and with it at last, the permission to upgrade traits. 1 upgrade point refreshes daily, and the points can be banked. There it is, his old ability from the life before. Dimensional space has no offensive power, no offense at all, and in this world, it is still the single most useful gift a person could ask for. Anything he stashes in it slips past the killing space's inspection entirely, which means from this hour forward, he will never again fret over food or water. While everyone else claws each other bloody over a bottle and a ration, he gets to pour every scrap of attention into killing, and it grows. Every 10 points of spirit he raises lets him push it out another cubic meter, and now on top of that, he can force it higher with upgrade points, though those only refresh at midnight. Yuan lets himself wonder what an upgraded dimensional space unlocks, whether it might one day hold living things. Then set the question aside. First, expand it. His spirit sits at 20, enough to double the room. Yuan sits down where he is, closes his eyes, and lets his mind settle onto a compact pocket of nothing, the space itself. Yuan floods it with spiritual power and shoves outward from the inside, and the walls give slow and grudging until a 2 cubic meter room stands where the one used to be. Done. With a thought, the submachine gun in his hand winks out of the world and into the pocket. Yuan glances around the armory. Yuan has no more need of the place. Yuan gets up and set to work, filling magazines, seating rounds, and feeding each loaded stick into the space so that from now on, he can pull a fresh one out of thin air whenever he wants. While he titties, he opens the chat channel, and it has come alive now that most survivors have found their footing and freed up the nerve to gossip. It is a churn of people comparing their starting stats, moaning that no cards drop for them, while the next voice swears every kill drops one, and a growing crowd buzzing about some benefactor who dumped a pile of police gear onto the trading platform, stun guns included. Nothing in it is worth his time. Yuan puts the channel away and thinks about killing faster. Fire, freezing, corrosive slurry, a furnace. The ideas rise one by one, and he cuts them all down. Each is either too weak to reliably finish a zombie, a consumable that burns out mid-slaughter, or a method that would gut his card drops on the back end. Yuan mutters to himself that what he really wants is an assembly line for destruction. Zombies fed in one end, cards spat out the other, and the instant the words leave him, he stops dead. A shredder. A big industrial shredder fits every requirement he has. A zombie jumps in, and inside of 2 seconds out comes minced meat, and sometimes a card. All he would have to do is stand at the discharge end and gather them, as long as the machine runs. The cards keep coming. Even at a lazy 1 zombie every 5 seconds, that is 12 a minute, 720 an hour, and a large shredder can swallow 3 to 5 at once. which pushes it toward 2 or 3,000 an hour. No effort, no fatigue, nothing spent. Anyone else would still be stuck on the hard part. How to make the zombies climb in of their own accord. But that is precisely the part he does not have to solve. His upgraded zombie aura lets him herd the ordinary dead like sheep. This method might have been built for him, and shredders are easy to find, waiting in car scrap yards, gravel pits, and municipal waste plants all over the city. Time is killing value. Time is cards. Yuan cannot sit still another second. Yuan sweeps the loaded magazines and boxes of ammunition into the dimensional space. Fire up his navigation and went. Half an hour later, he stands in a sprawling car scrapyard, staring up at the machine in front of him, and he nearly laughs. It is a monster of a shredder, a fortifort beast they call the Red Giant, still bolted down on the back of a 100-ton king heavy hauler. There is a lone zombie shut inside the truck's cab, shaking its head, hunting for a way out its little mind cannot manage since it cannot even work the door handle, and only paces the cab in circles. By the look of it, the Red Giant was just delivered here or was about to be shipped out, which suits him perfectly. But when he scans the yard, he counts only a handful of zombies drifting around, and he frowns because a scrapyard sits far from anywhere people live. So few zombies wander near, which caps how many he can gather. Yuan will have to bring the machine to them. Yuan hauls the cab door open and climbs in, and because he is putting off a yellow zombie aura, the zombie already inside goes docile as a lamb, letting him boot it out into the dirt without a fight. A few seconds later, the truck grinds to life, rolls out of the yard, and points itself at the crowded heart of the city. 2 minutes and a great many crushed cars later, he brings it to a stop, and the horde that has been chasing his noise stops with him. Dozens of zombies that came expecting a meal and found instead a fellow corpse. They stand there dumbfounded, their sluggish little minds grinding in a riddle they cannot crack. Yuan grins. The show is about to start. Half an hour on, a wall of loud, cheerful dance music tears open the night. The kind of thumping plaza tune blared from the big square speakers people dance to in the park. Every zombie within earshot freezes, turns its head toward the sound, and shuffles toward it. At the source of it all, he stands with a loudspeaker. Yuan scurried from somewhere, his aura pressing down on the ragged column of the dead. Yuan barks at them to line up, all of them, to get in a straight line for him. Yuan tells the one missing an eye not to think it is special, to fall in with the rest. Yuan snaps at the legless zombie, dragging itself along too slowly, holding up the whole queue to step aside and get out of the way. Yuan waves the newcomers to the back. One by one, crushed under a higher aura than their own. They obey, filing forward in dead silence. At the head of the line waits a raised steel ramp, and at the top of the ramp gapes the Red Giant's intake. The zombies climb it and leap in, one after another, and a burst of blood erupts before each is spat out as a heap of ground meat onto a conveyor that runs straight down into the sewer. Yuan stands a couple of meters off the discharge, loudspeaker in hand, watching for cards and dressing the line. The dance speakers ride on top of the cab. More big rigs are hung from the roofs of the buildings around him, and every so often a card floats up out of the pulp. Easy, genuinely easy. Indirect chills do have the yield, sure, but the sheer volume drowns that out, and the whole thing costs him nothing and tires him not at all. You win a little, you lose a little, and this trade is stacked in his favor, cards and all. One card worth 100 killing value. The real river of income. Down in the chat channel, the world loses its mind. Survivors swearing they must be hallucinating explosive dance music in a city full of the dead, then swearing they are not. One voice insists he watched zombies form an orderly line and hurl themselves into a shredder, while the whole channel calls him a liar. Zombies killing themselves is one thing, but queuing up to do it politely is a step too far to believe. Yuan lets them argue. Time does not stop for their bickering. Whenever the zombies in one district thin out, he picks up and moves to the next and starts the harvest fresh, and he keeps it at a clear through to dawn, unwilling reborn as he is to waste a single minute. Then a chime lands in his head telling him the upgrade points have refreshed. Still guiding the line, he eagerly pulls up his panel. Strength 33, Constitution 15, Speed 40, Spirit 20. His talents now the Eye of Insight at Gold plus Zombie Aura, Super Hearing, Power Enhancement, Speed Enhancement, and Dimensional Space. His upgrade points sit at 1 and refresh 1 a day. Killing value at 7,563.5. Combat rating 1-star mid-stage. Every entry, but the golden Eye of Insight now wears a small mark showing it can be upgraded. The system spells out the cost. A white entry jumps to yellow for a single point. Past that, a yellow climbs to blue for 2, blue to purple for 4, purple to red for 8, and red to gold for a full 16. So, dragging one white entry all the way to gold burns 31 points in total. At 1 point a day. That is a month per entry to reach the top. Yuan does not know yet whether there is another way to farm upgrade points, so for now, he simply waits it out. With a thought, he spends today's point and lifts dimensional space from white to yellow. It becomes a 10 cubic meter room, and as the grade rises, a new sheet of detail unfolds in his mind. The real change is in how it opens. Before, only what he physically touched could be pulled inside. Now anything within a meter of him answers a thought and vanishes into the space, with no contact at all. Do not shrug at the gap between touching and not touching because he can make it sing. If a man shoots at him, the old him could only dodge. The new him sets the space his mouth, hanging a meter in front of his chest. So any round crossing that line is simply swallowed, and then he turned the exit to face the shooter and let his own bullets fly back out at him. A pure engine of return damage. If he had held this in his last life, how would Jotay and the rest of them ever have boxed him in and cut him down? A shame it still takes only objects, not people. A person in there would open doors he can barely imagine, but that is a worry for another day. Deep in the night, the slaughter rolls on, and as he drifts through district after district, more and more survivors catches sight of him, and the chat channel roils with it. They watch zombies file to their own deaths, and they watch him at the center of it, showing not the least sign of being a zombie himself. After a heated round of argument, a single story hardens and spreads like fire. A corpse king with a human face. He can command the dead into orderly suicide. He feeds on people. His strength is unknown, but monstrous. And he was seen to punch a common zombie's head clean off its shoulders. Encounter him, the warning runs. And hide. Yuan sees every word of it and offer no correction. Let them believe it. A misunderstanding like that only clears his path and truth. He did smash that one zombie skull apart on purpose. In plain view, precisely so the story would carry the right amount of dread. And by the look of the channel, the dread has landed. Through the whole long slaughter, no accident finds him, and no fool leaps out, convinced he can solo the Corpse King. They are here for one day only. After all, why gamble your life instead of lying low? Even if some hero did drop him, then what? When every zombie on the street would riot loose the instant its shepherd died. On a dim street on the far side of the city, dozens of zombies drift with no purpose. And the silence is so total that a soda can skittering along the gutter in the wind can turn a whole cluster of heads to give chase. Then from the mouth of a pitch-black alley, a run of faint sparks stutters out. The suppressed cough of silenced weapons, and dozens of zombies drop across the street at once. 2 cards float up over the bodies. 5 figures file out of the alley in camouflage and tactical vest. Night vision riding their brows, moving with drilled precision. And every piece of their kit is police issue. The very same gear he pulled from the armory. Plainly, this crew tapped a station of their own. And there is nothing strange in that since a city this size holds dozens of stations. More than enough to arm a few teams. The leader signs with a hand, and the 4 behind him spread out to check the fallen, finishing off any that still twitch. Then rather, one of them reports that the street is clear, and hands over the 2 cards. A plate of spicy shredded chicken, and a slice of bread. Jobin frowns, takes them and pockets them without a glance. Then sweeps the dark, and tells the team to take 1 minute for ammunition, and prep for the next street to kill all they can while the dark keeps the zombies half blind. A minute later, they move out. 2 streets over, they push onto a lane where the lights are dead altogether. An airy black tunnel, and Jobin at the point stops short as a soft ringing lifts from the shops on either side. He looks down, grim at a fishing line strung taut across the whole street at his feet. Its ends anchored inside the storefronts, and understands at once, a tripwire and a man-made one. Then he lifts his eyes. And a meter past the lines scattered thick across the road in the faint light. He makes out thumbtacks, iron nails, and broken glass sewn so densely they carpet the asphalt. All of it laid by human hands. One of the team murmurs low that there are people in the shop at their 10-0. Jobin looks, and through the night vision his pupils cinch tight, because he recognizes the shape in a stranger's hands. A gun. These people are armed. He decides on the instant, telling the team to make no sudden moves and back off slow, and leads them away. Because this is clearly some survivor crew's turf and with no clash of interest. There is no reason to touch it. Inside the shop, for men crouch at the window and watch them go. Each wears a bulletproof vest and carries a submachine gun kitted, almost identically to Jobin's team. The only real difference is the bearing because where Jobin's men carry the clean hard stamp of soldiers, these 4 in the same gear look like a pack of layabouts. One of them, a tall man with a mean face and a tactical vest, spits and says that since they were retreated, they are not zombies and that Pa Kilometer Sark's head is the sharpest of the lot. That laying out that little test really did the trick. The thin one with the pitted face. Pakilometarsark gives a sheepish reply that he only saw it on television and never thought it would actually work. Brother Han tells him not bad at all, that his Azure Dragon society needs talent like that, right? Then the dance music comes rolling in louder and louder, or rather closer and closer. Someone snaps that this is insane blasting music got loud in the dead of night. Another catches his breath and asks whether it could be the Music Corpse King. Everyone is trading rumors about in the channel. Brother Han's eyes light, and he tells them all to ready up that the prey is walking to them, and that whoever helps bring the Corpse King down will have 10,000 apiece once they get out. The others thank him, calling him mighty. The truck grinds along with its music howling, a great tale of zombies strung out behind it, held at a distance only because the rig moves so slowly, though the volume keeps them from ever losing the trail. Yuan hums along at the wheel through the dark streets, and then the flat bangs punch out under him. Both front tires blow. The wheel wrenches out of true, and the truck slew toward a storefront before he stamps the brakes and drag it to a halt a breath short of the glass. Yuan climbs down, and his face is thunder. Glass-gritted nails crunch under his soles, and when he looks, the whole road is sown with his stuff. Both front tires already flat and bristling with dozens of nails driven deep. Which gutless little coward did this? Salting a public street with nails. No shred of civic decency. No thought at all for the street cleaners who break their back sweeping these roads. 100 meters off up on the 10th floor of a building, Joe Bin's team has doubled back and gone to ground. They had not gotten far before the music reached them, and the Music Corpse King came to mind. So they ducked into cover fast and now watched the street through their scopes. The lane pitch dark to the naked eye, but legible enough through night vision. Joe Bin asks a refined-looking man beside him, Old Jang, whether the figure below is the Corpse King the channel keeps naming. And Old Jang answers that anyone making a racket this size ought to be. At that a slab of muscle on the team can no longer hold it in, and urges the captain to take the shot to snatch the Corpse King before the ordinary zombies close in. He insists that by long years of gaming, a boss like this is sure to drop something good. Old Jang cuts in first, saying he advises against it, that by every scrap of gathered intelligence, the Corpse King has powers tower over any ordinary zombie, and if the opening strike misses, the backlash comes fast. With someone on the team certain to be hurt, the muscular man says he can snipe from range. Old Jang tells him his night sniping barely clears a 60% kill chance, and that a 60 is no different from suicide. Worse, the armed crew below sits closer to the Corpse King. The moment the shot lands, there is a 90% chance they get dragged into a fight with those men, and a 50% chance someone bleeds for it, unless they simply hand over the spoils. The muscular man's cheek jumps and he says he asked the captain, not Old Jang, and looks to Joe Bin, all hope pressing whether they should take the shot. Joe Bin's face darkens, and after a moment, he decides they wait and watch. Down on the street, he has killed the music, and his eyes rake the dark like a pair of torches. His ears twitch and twitch again, super hearing combing the black for whoever did this. And a heartbeat later, he turns and fixes on one shop front, exactly the one hiding Brother Han and his four, because that is where the sound came from. The instant his gaze lands, a furious roar breaks from inside. In order to shoot him, to kill him. 1,000,001 for the man who does it. Sparks flare inside the dark shop, and submachine gun fire rips across the night straight at him. His step halts, and his face goes cold. So they have guns, and they are spraying wild as if they take him for something soft. The dimensional space yawns open in the air before him, and as the rounds cross into the meter around his chest, the space warps and swallows them whole. Gone. And under the cover of night, not a soul sees it happen. Up on the 10th floor, the muscular man mutters to himself, telling Old Jang he said it all along. Less talk and more doing. Those men down there already made their move, while the Corpse King just stands there like a statue. And no power on earth keeps a thing upright under that many bullets. He is already dreaming aloud about the killing value and the drops it must be worth. Old Jang finally snaps at him to shut it, that he is a grown man and cannot understand why he never stops talking, then keeps his eyes nailed to the motionless figure below. The muscular man cries foul at the personal jab, demanding to know why a man cannot talk, blaming Old Jang for costing him a golden chance, and then denying him even a few words of complaint. Old Jang tells him to work his brain instead of his chest for once, to open his eyes wide and see what is wrong with that Corpse King. The muscular man pouts, watching the far figure, and says he sees nothing off, that it is standing perfectly fine. And then he trails away because he has noticed the Corpse King is showing no reaction to being shot at all. Normally a body takes rounds and answers on reflex, folding, flinching, staggering, tipping where a bullet punches through. None of it something a living thing can suppress. Yet the corpse king below just stands, and though the distance blurs the fine detail, its posture reads clearly enough. And worse, the muscular man swears he feels a strange ease radiating off that stance. Ease, he thinks, to hell with ease. A man facing a 100 bullets has no business looking relaxed. Old Jen says without lifting his head, that he has watched a long while now, and that the wall of the building behind the corpse king has taken no damage whatsoever. He asks what that means, then answers himself before anyone can, that the man is using some unknown power to make the bullets vanish. The muscular man balks, asking whether old John truly means to claim this corpse king as superpowers, that such things are only make-believe. Old Jen grins and says the killing space is here. The zombies are here. The attribute panels are real. So, is a superpower really the outrageous part? And besides, has he never noticed the talent line on the panel, because that is exactly where a power like this would live? The muscular man falls silent, unable to argue because there is nothing to argue against. And a cold thought crawls up his spine that perhaps he could have a power of his own, too. On the street, the gunfire runs past 10 seconds and dies. Inside the shop, the fur have emptied every magazine and stare at him unmoved in his place. One asks Brother Hyan whether the corpse king is not dead, and if so, why it still stands. Brother Han says it is dead for certain after that many rounds, dozens of hits easy, and that as for why it stands, who is he supposed to ask? Maybe it is the corpse king's last shred of pride. Then he tells one of them to go out and check. The man balks, asking whether he means him, and Brother Hyan snaps that of course he means him. Who else? And the subordinate drags himself reluctantly toward the shop's mouth. The moment his foot clears the doorway, his head bursts apart in front of him, spraying the other three. Their pupils clamp down, and without even wiping the blood away, they look out, and what they see is a stream of golden rounds so close there is no time left to move. The three are stitched through like shreds in the space of a breath, and for human-shaped patterns of empty bullet holes are left punched into the wall behind them. Their last thought, all of them, is the same. Where were the gunshots? Where did these bullets come from? And why do they look so damnably familiar? On the street, his ears twitch, and after a moment, reading no more movement inside, he lifts his foot and walks in. A minute later, he comes back out with 3 cards in hand, sour about it. 3 cards when a miserable haul. Yuan grumbles it inward, swing up into the truck, and starts the music again. Soon, a clatter of feet rolls in from the far end of the street, a big fresh wave of the dead. Slow as ever. Seeing them arrive, he simply drives off toward his original destination. Tires or no tires. And so, what if it has none? Yuan will drive it anyway. It was never his truck to begin with, and as long as it holds together until noon, it has done its job. The zombies trail the music, swaying along behind him. Several minutes after the last of them clears out, Joe Bin's team comes back onto the street and steps into the shop, and the sight of the slaughter inside pulls the sweat from their brows. None sweats more than the muscular man, who thanks his luck over and over that he was talked into staying put, since otherwise it would very likely be his own body cooling on that floor. He asks the captain's malvoice what they do now, and Jobin tells them to take the opposite road. That the corpse king is more than they can handle, and they are to keep as far from it as the city allows. His killing carries on from dark clear into daylight, and he only stops with half an hour left on the space, and even then not by choice, because his big machine has gone on strike. Yuan looks at the red giant giving off a burnt smell, and cannot help complaining that so much for an imported monster. That home-built gear is the only thing you can trust. There is not enough time left to bother finding a new hunting ground, so he ducks into a clean room and tally the take. Killing value 19,600, not more. Mostly because relocating and regathering the herd between spots ate a great deal of time, and because the rising combat rating shaves down the killing value each kill pays out. Still well inside acceptable. At his old pace, forget the ammunition bill. Even chasing this result at all would have been a fantasy, and the cards with a base this enormous still pile up impressively, even after the drop rate falls off. 229 cards of every type. 150 from the zombies. 3 off the 4 who tried to kill him, and the remaining 7 of 4 killing value and fees. The trading channel lets you list for free, but skims 1 point of killing value off the seller on every completed sale, drawing it straight from your balance, or if you are short, telling it as a debt to settle on exit. So, a man with no killing value cannot trade at all. 7 of 4 points of killing value purchase 7 of 4 cards, and each card will redeem for 100 points after settlement. With 229 cards banked, he will walk out with better than another 20,000 killing value, which makes this one run worth close to 40,000 all told. Yuan cleaned up. The feeling of milking an information gap this wide is a thing all its own. Yuan sits contentedly beside his heap of cards and sorts them, and thanks to the dimensional space, things others can never carry out of the space he can. A quarter hour later, he has filtered out the ones that matter to him. One amphibious motorcycle, one perpetual solar car, and 2 special helmets. For cards and all, every one of them a nightmare to come by in the real world. Yuan materializes each and tucks it into the dimensional space, since cards only ever solidify inside the killing space and never in reality. Turning them real in here, ready to hand at any moment is the only sensible play. A play the space's fresh upgrade finally makes possible, because before this, he would never have dreamed of hauling out something as bulky as a car. Then the world blurs. The space announces it has ended and is returning him, and the full day runs out. When his senses settle, he stands in a white void, a row of golden characters hanging in the air ahead, small but perfectly clear to read. Rating settlement is underway. Surviving earns a base D rank. Over 100 monsters killed lifts it to C rank. Over 1,000 to B rank. Over 10,000 to A rank. Holding more than 100 material cards lifts it to S rank. Killing to mutated monsters above his own level lifts it to SS rank. Final rating SS rank. As the verdict lands, the whole void ignites gold, and a translucent golden curtain descends, not over him alone, but into the settlement space of every survivor at once. A vast voice rolls through all of their ears, congratulating the survivor who reached an SS rank evaluation, announcing that the condition for the rating leaderboard is met, that the leaderboard is now open. A golden leaderboard unfurls from the light, placing Yuan first with an SS rank. Below him, Wang, Zhou, and the other visible survivors hold only C ranks, making the difference look impossible. Every settlement space erupts at once. The chat channel floods with accusations of cheating, desperate questions about the ranking conditions, and veterans trying to reverse engineer the thresholds. Yuan ignores the noise and reads his reward. An SS evaluation raises every attribute by 6, grants 15 free attribute points, and adds 1,500 killing value. No survivor reached this rank in his previous life, because S rank had been treated as the absolute ceiling, and even its rewards remain secret. Now Yuan can finally compare the numbers. A rank reward effectively granted 20 attribute points. After combining its universal increase and free allocation, his SS reward grants 39 effective points, a full 19 more before any mall purchases begin. That hidden reward gap explains why the highest ranked survivors once pulled farther ahead after every descent. The system flags to 125 leftover cards and converts them to 22,500 killing value, since the 4 he already materialized stay with him and were not recycled, putting his balance at 43,600. With that, it declares the killing mall open to any survivor holding more than 100 killing value. A golden interface blooms in front of him, the killing mall crowning it, and beneath it the categories skill, equipment, attribute, medical, and special, each thick with wares. In a zombie city, no cultivation charm or fantasy relic will surface, just as an ancient setting would offer no modern technology. Every shop matches its background and avoids repeating the same stock. He goes straight for attribute because everything else is a crutch and attributes are the bedrock that sets a person's real strength. The attribute category is brutally simple, offering strength, constitution, speed, or spirit with 10 points in each purchase. The first purchase costs 100 killing value per attribute, so Yuan clears all for options for only 400. He remembers his previous life, when he stared at the same screen and agonized over the single increase he could afford. This time, empty in the first row barely touches his fortune. After each purchase, the price increases tenfold until the next killing space resets the shop. Yuan buys all for attributes again for 1,000 each, spending another 4,000 without hesitation. The third tier costs 10,000 per attribute, because power enhancement and speed enhancement already boosted strength and speed. He invests only in constitution and spirit. Those two purchases consume 20,000 killing value, and push the next price to 100,000, far beyond what he intends to spend today. The surge remakes his body. Strength reaches 59, constitution 51, speed 66, and spirit 56. His eye of insight remains gold, while zombie aura, super hearing, power enhancement, speed enhancement, and dimensional space remain yellow grade. His upgrade points are empty. His killing value falls to 19,100, and 15 free attribute points remain unspent. With speed at 66, his combat rating reaches the early stage of 2-star. In Yuan's previous life, The first publicly known two-star revolver appeared only after the third or fourth descent. He has reached that level after the first. The 15 free attributes he leaves untouched. His strength is plenty for the moment, and he would rather bank them for the kind of crisis he can spend his way out of on the spot. Think of the way the speed zombie boxed him in earlier, when 15 points dropped into speed then, and there would have spared him a fight that risked his life. Now for the rest of the killing value. By memory. The next space brings out the legendary zombie proper. These things are born from the grievance and foulness of heaven and earth, deathless and unbreakable, belonging to none of the three realms of heaven, earth, and man. Cast out even from the 6 paths of reincarnation, they divide into white zombie, black zombie, hopping zombie, flying zombie, and drought demon. And the rarer gifted variants grow stranger powers. Still, copper skin and iron bones, blood drawn from a distance, a fearlessness of sunlight. Those are the ones out of myth though. And most of what this space will spit out is the plain black zombie. Glutinous rice, Ruer's S blood, a black dog S blood. All of it works against them, but only to save your own skin. None of it with enough killing power to matter. So, he needs proper tools out of the space itself. Weapons first. A peachwood sword cuts a zombie well enough, but is not his best answer. And last life, someone already ran the research on which weapons truly excel against the monsters. The laser combat blade tops that list. Offered in 3 grades, a standard edition whose blade reaches 600 degrees, but demands an energy pearl to run, 500 killing value. A rechargeable edition at 800 degrees on solar charge, 3000. An infinite edition at 1000 degrees with limitless energy, 5000. At 1000 degrees, even copper skin and iron bones, part like being curd. The finest anti-zombie arm the later years ever produced. It runs far beyond a peachwood sword that helps only against zombies and is nothing else. Where the blade cuts through everything short of an actual ghost. The standard looks a bargain at 500. And it is a trap because a single energy pearl runs 100 killing value, and lasts only 10 minutes before it needs swapping. It is a bottomless hole that drinks killing value forever. Fine as a burst weapon, and a death sentence as a daily one, since imagine the horror of the energy. Dying out mid-fight. Yuan takes the infinite edition without hesitation. 5,000 killing value balanced down to 14,200. Yuan hilts the length of a hand settles into his palm. A small button on its side that throws the blade the instant it is pressed, and retracts it on a 5-second hold. With a weapon in hand, the next monster wave is covered. But what is the point of killing value if you die hoarding it? So over the next 3 minutes, he goes on a spree and empty the account. A Desert Eagle modified edition, loaded with endless armor-piercing rounds, 5,000. A personal Vulcan Gatling modified edition. Endless armor-piercing rounds at 6,000 per minute, 5,000. Firearm mastery at master level, 2,000. Blade mastery at master level, 2,000. And vials of 3 flower light blood. 10 milliliters of upgraded formula each. A concentrate refined from blood essence to mix into water. Drawing every blood drinking thing within a 10-mile radius, 200. Ranged fire, area fire, weapon mastery on both, plus a lure that pulls the zombies to him. His kit is close to complete skills in the space run. 5 tiers, low, mid, high, master, and perfect at 100, 500, 1,000, 2,000, and 5,000 killing value. And master is more than enough. Killing value spent to nothing. Yuan feels no pull to linger and step out of the settlement space. In a blink, he is home again. Glancing out the window at a high moon in the small hours of the morning, the second morning now. A full day gone. The cracked stones and the 2 drained energy pearls still lie on the table, as though nothing on earth had changed. Only a boundless power surging through him from within. The first thing he does is go out for skewers, since a whole day of gnawing dry bread mid-slaughter has left his mouth so flat he could spit feathers. Across the world, countless survivors pour back into reality, and inside a bare 10 minutes, they have seized every platform there is. Message boards and forums and short video apps buried under an avalanche of first-hand accounts. From inside the space, the quick-witted are already live streaming to fan counts that climb like something is on fire. The whole returning tide rewriting what everyone thought they knew about the killing space, and about the world itself. This night is fated to be a sleepless one, and the entire nation is watching. Inside a military base in a conference room, a man stands at the podium delivering his report, and the man is Jobin. He finishes telling the room the situation report on the killing space is complete, and a strange silence settles over the whole chamber. After a moment, the lean square-jawed man at the head of the table tells him he has done well, and to go on with his analysis of the ratings and the rewards. Joe Bing gathers himself and continues saying the preliminary read is that rewards track with ratings, and ratings track with kills. In the operation, his team dropped more than 900 zombies and under deliberate testing. He personally accounted for over 600, while his for others took between 50 and 150 each. He drew his C rank and placed 4th on the leaderboard, while the other four came away with 3 C ranks and a D rank, none of them making the board. And the reward he received was every attribute up by 2 to free points and 200 killing value. He lays out the conjectures next drawn from the chat channel and processed through big data analysis. Ratings are confirmed to run D through SS, and there is a 90% probability A and SSS rank exist above them. D rank asks only survival, no kill required, and pays every attribute up by 1 free point and 100 killing value. C rank comes from one person killing 100 zombies. D and C are hard data, and everything under them is inference for reference only. There is an 86% chance B rank needs a 0 kills from one person and a 92% chance it rewards every attribute up by 3 free points and 300 killing value. A rank follows the same curve. While S and SS cannot be inferred for lack of data, he adds that he traded killing value for his own constitution and speed, both now twice in ordinary man's with no side effect he can yet feel, and that the rest of his balance went into one thing. He lifts a briefcase onto the table and opens it, and a single vial sits inside. He says it is called an awakening potion, 300 killing value in the space mall, and that drinking it activates a person's innate ability. He bought 2, drank 1, and woke the power to command lightning. He turns his hand over, and several thin bolts crackle up in his palm and gather into a slow-turning ball of lightning, blue and beautiful, and steeped in menace. The high officials look at that blue sphere without a flicker of surprise, only a deep and growing worry. Because if a thing like this ever slipped its leash, the whole nation as social order could come apart. The meeting runs until dawn. The report is dressed into a formal analysis and passed up the chain, and inside 10 minutes, it lies before the highest leader. Half an hour after that, a special department stands up under the name the 816 Bureau. Key to its founding date, the 16th of August, with Jobin named its director. Its charge is to find and recruit the talents rising out of the space, and to smother the disturbances that evolvers will stir up across the land. The first thing Jobin does in office is sift every survivor of this space through military big data, because anything a person said online, a message, a call, a post in any circle leaves a trace that no screening can miss. Live in the age of information, and while it widens your world, it quietly takes something back. The next day dawned bright, and the roar around the killing space only swells. Every platform's entire top 30 trending topics running space and nothing else. And no wonder, since the lucky few who woke abilities are showing them off everywhere. One grills chicken wings over flames sprung from his own hand. One conjures ice cubes out of thin air to chill his coffee. And one sprouted a pair of wings and used them, of all things, to deliver takeout. Another tried to rob a bank with earth escape, tunneling through the ground, but was too green at it and surfaced inside a nearby police station. And when the poor fool climbed out to a room full of uniformed officers, he looked utterly done for. Still, the power set the public as blood alight. Everyone hungry now for the next descent of the killing space and the chance to be chosen. At home, he sits watching the news. As for the job he used to hold, on the second day out of the space, he fired his boss without ceremony, because what era is this to still be clocking in? And could a paycheck possibly outweigh getting stronger? If he wanted, he could walk into the military right now and be treated as someone precious. But he has no appetite for dealing with them yet. The military is hardly one solid body, and more than a few of its senior officers wear the nation's uniform, while their hearts serve another master entirely. Until he holds strength enough to guarantee his own safety, he will not go putting himself on display. Bored, he flips the channel, and a fair-skinned, long-legged woman appears on screen running a street interv. You on the one topic burning in every mouth, asking a passerby whether given the chance he would step into the killing space. The man says no. She presses him, asking why not, whether he does not want a power, does not want to be a superhero. He answers that going and offers real opportunity, but people die in there. That he already has money and standing, so why gamble? A pair of wings hardly makes a superhero when the man is still out delivering takeout. And in this world there are no monsters, only money, which is all-powerful and which, as it happens, he has plenty of. Yuan watches him with cold eyes. Who told you there are no monsters in this world? By his count, that thing should be surfacing right about now. Yuan pulls out his phone and search, and there it is, the strange news breaking. A poisonous mist has rolled over regions across the country, dropping many into unconsciousness. Though no deaths are reported yet, the mist holding stubborn with witnesses swearing they can just make out human figures moving inside it. The relevant departments are still hunting its source. The official words sealing off every mist-covered zone and warning people to keep well away. Until it lifts, every report points at the same thing. A real world coming apart at the seams. Ordinary eyes read it as an oddity in the headlines. Yuan reads it as monsters about to descend. The real world is no longer safe, and the monsters born in the killing space are going to come down into it one at a time. This poisonous mist is the herald of the zombies' arrival. Research in his last life pinned the mist as a byproduct of the instability between the two spaces. And once the two settle against each other, the mist thins out, and that is when the zombies walk. As for how long it lingers, it holds until the second space descent finishes and the next mist will hold until the third space ends. And so on down the line. More monsters bleeding into reality every cycle. Human ground shrinking under them without pause. There is a gift buried in the descent, though, danger and chance in the same hand. Killing a monster in the real world grants no killing value and drops no card. But it can yield something else, an evolution crystal. It is a six-sided red stone that forms in the skull of certain monsters. Holding the raw power of evolution, a human can absorb to raise attributes and wake abilities. The catch is that the crystals appear rarely and are absorbed inefficiently, so evolving this way crawls compared to the space. Clear one space alive and the floor reward is to attribute points, setting aside anything killing value can buy. And to points equals absorbing 20 crystals, which for zombies means killing roughly 200 of them. His 39 points would take 390 crystals, near 40,000 zombies. On top of that, the body caps how many crystals it can digest a day. 10 to 20 for an ordinary constitution. So even chasing 39 points would eat half a month at the least. The daily ceiling rises as you grow stronger, but never fast enough to rival stepping into the killing space. Last life. Those whom the space never chose had only this road to strength and survival. And even some who fared badly inside lean on real-world kills to climb. Because however small a mosquito, it is still a scrap of meat, given the chance. He would take a turn at it himself, though his quarry would not be the common zombie, but the mutated ones. 10 days looks like a long stretch and passes like a single breath. Yuan finishes every preparation and waits quiet for the second space to open. And he leaves the upgrade points he has banked across these days untouched, holding them to spend as the moment demands. Once he is inside, when the countdown strikes 0, a line of golden text projects out of the space imprint, announcing the second killing space is open and asking whether he wishes to enter. Veteran survivors get the choice now, and they fall outside the 100,000 count, since the 100,000 each cycle names only the freshly selected, which means far more than 100,000 pour into this opening. And the crowd will only grow with everyone after. Yuan already decided long ago. Enter a flash of gold and he is gone. Welcome to the killing space, the rules scroll past. The first to survive, the 10th telling him the space stays open. Today is with monsters descending in 5 minutes. The counter reading for minutes and 58 seconds. Everything is identical to before. But for the longer survival and the shorter prep, 1 day stretched to 2. 10 minutes of grace cut to 5. Difficulty climbs with each opening, so that the earlier you come, the richer the reward and the sharper the danger. Yuan ignores the prompt and in the pitch dark around him, a beam suddenly flares. A flashlight he pulled from who knows where, and he sweeps it across the room. The place runs about 100 square meters. One wall lined with rows of memorial tablets furred in cobwebs and dust. Long abandoned and dead center sits an ancient coffin. Its lid shut tight, old paper effigies heaped around its base. Yuan takes a long look at it and walks closer. Then slide the lid open with a flat strike of his palm, and a pale serene face rises into the light. A corpse, though a couple of glances confirm it is not yet turned. So the monsters really are zombies. Yuan checks the room over, finds the one coffin and nothing else, and step out the door. Beyond it, a small courtyard resolves under the moonlight, choked with weeds and missing its gate, untended for years. And his beam runs bright across it, and out through the archway to hint at a mountain forest, past the walls. Yuan crosses the yard and step outside, and when he looks back at the gate, a rotted plaque hangs above it, for bold characters staring down at him. Yuan Clan Ancestral Hall, his own surname. Gazing back from the wood, his mouth twitches and he swallows the urge to complain. Towering trees stand on every side, a thin path threading off into the forest towards somewhere he cannot see. The whole place silent under a drifting mist that lends it a cold creeping menace. Yuan circles the little courtyard with a light and piece the situation together. A secluded clan hall ringed by wild mountains. The coffin most likely and nearby villagers set here to wait. After better than for minutes turning up, no sign of a living soul. Yuan comes back to the hall right on time. Yuan looks at the quiet coffin, rolls his wrist, and a black hilt appears in his hand. And the next second, a red blade of light springs from it. A laser sword. The instant he finishes, several lines of text hang in the void, telling him the monsters are descending and laying out the first day's mission. To defend the clan hall, to hold out inside it until dawn. So, the missions have begun. The first space carried none, a beginner's kindness. But from the second descent on the space hands out a basic mission every day. None of them fixed. Each survivor is different. Some to kill, some to reach a place, some to find an object. Completing it raises your rating, and failing it drags both rating and rewards down. His is to last until dawn. And by what he remembers, dawn is either 6 or 8 hours off. Too long ago to pin exactly. Though it hardly matters since he is skilled enough and steady enough to hold even 10. Then a heavy bang splits the quiet as the coffin lid flies up and crashes back to the floor. And a figure stands bolt upright in defiance of every joint a body owns. The zombie has come. A golden light flares in his eyes. And he turns the eye of insight on the thing standing where the coffin used to be. It reads back as a common zombie. Combat rating 1-star initial stage carrying for traits he can strip. Zombie body at white, bloodthirsty recovery at blue, blood tracking at yellow, and alactory perception at yellow. A legendary undead, and it comes prepackaged with a whole bundle of loot. His eyes gleam, the zombie throws its head back and lets out a low grinding growl. 2 ribbons of gray vapor curling from its nostrils. And for 1 heartbeat, it looks genuinely imposing. The very picture of the dead clawing back into the world. Then a red line of light crosses it at the waist. And the return from the dead display ends with the top half of it sliding off the bottom. Yuan flicks the laser sword clean and cannot help muttering that it should learn some manners. Screaming its lungs out in the dead of night, disturbing the peace like that. The prompt confirms the kill and hands him a single point of killing value. And with it a wall of unlocks. The public platform, the chat channel, the trading floor. Every permission reset the way it resets each time a space opens. 1 killing value. Yuan lets a tired look cross his face because a common zombie should pay 2. And his came halved for the simple crime of already standing at 2-star. But he does not dwell on it. Whoever complained about being too strong, if the payout shrinks, he kills a few more. And besides, killing value was never his only road to power. Yuan still has traits. Yuan turns to the knot of light orbs pulled beside the corpse. The zombie's traits shed for the taking, and he rubs his hands together and reaches in. The system tells him he has claimed bloodthirsty recovery at blue, blood tracking at yellow, and olfactory perception at yellow. Bloodthirsty recovery triples his healing on its own and multiplies it tenfold. Once he has swallowed blood. Blood tracking lets him follow any creature by the scent of its blood. All olfactory perception lets him feel out living people by smell and read their movements. The one trait he leaves lying is zombie body, and he chews on it a while before he lets it go. Zombie body has a monstrous growth ceiling, true, but the drawbacks come stapled to it. Restriction after restriction, and worst of all, it wrecks your face. If these were the legendary undead lords, the kind that keep a human face and edge toward true immortality, Yuan might have swallowed his pride and taken it, upgraded it, walked in daylight forever. But this cheap rotting version, not even a stray dog would want it. The 3 traits settle into him at once. A flush of heat, then an itch high in his nose, and the knowledge of how to wield each one pours ready made into his head. After that, nothing. Yuan glances at his attributes list out of habit and finds the 4 numbers unmoved. Whether because a trait like this adds no raw stats, or because his attributes already sit to hide a nudge, he cannot say. Of the 3, olfactory perception is the one that catches him off guard. Lock it onto a living thing, and his mind builds a little model of it, so that even with his eyes shut, he knows exactly where it stands and what it is doing. Genuinely uncanny. The flaw is just as plain. It only bites on things that breathe. So, a target that holds its breath drops clean off his radar. Which is the very trick that lets a man lie dead still and let a low zombie shuffle right past him. But upgraded. Yuan lets himself wonder whether an upgrade would let him fill the whole room without his eyes. Inanimate things included. A real radar bolted into his skull. Worth finding out. Yuan spends to upgrade points and lifts olfactory perception from yellow to blue, which drops him from 10 points down to 9 since midnight refresh 1 back to him overnight. The description rewrites itself. Where it read presence, it now reads vitality, meaning a target can hold its breath till it bursts, and he will still feel it move. And the range has swelled. Besides, switch it on now, and nothing alive inside 10 meters slips past him. A pocket radar. More or less. His panel reads back to him. Strength 59, Constitution 51, Speed 66, Spirit 56. His talents run the Eye of Insight at gold, then Zombie Aura, super hearing, power enhancement, and speed enhancement at yellow. Dimensional space at yellow, olfactory perception now at blue, bloodthirsty recovery at blue, and blood tracking at yellow. 9 upgrade points banked, 1 refreshing a day. A lone point of killing value to his name, 15 free attributes in reserve. Combat rating 2-star initial stage. 5 minutes later, he is sitting in the courtyard bored out of his skull watching the gate. Getting saddled with a guard mission is throttling his kill rate to nothing, and he cannot leave the Yuan clan ancestral hall. So all he can do is sit here and stare at the archway like it owes him money to kill. The time he opens the chat channel, a thin trickle of messages. A few survivors begs to trade for glutinous rice, black dog blood, and rooster blood. One poor soul, whose whole mission is to find toilet paper in the deep wilderness, asks whether a traded roll would even count. Another, locked in a prison cell, stares at 2 old rifles on the far wall with no key and no hammer, offering cards to anyone who can spring him. Someone offers to go save him. Someone else laughs that the rescuer only wants the guns, and a voice reminds them all that firearms barely dent a zombie, unless you put the round through an eye or into the mouth. Yuan sighs at how few messages there is, which tells him plainly how few people can actually kill these things. Zombies wear 100 weaknesses, sure, but without the right items in hand, killing one is like climbing to heaven. And most survivors who meet a zombie can do nothing but keep themselves alive. Still, the clever ones in that thread are onto something, taking the shortcut, asking for help instead of swinging at the problem. The man hunting toilet paper only needs someone to trade him a roll in the space. Rules his fetch mission complete. Find and object missions are the softest of the lot, and the real edge every survivor holds is that they can chat and trade across the spaces at will. Note that gap right, and you bank a decent pile of killing value without killing a thing, which is exactly what he is about to do. Yuan pulls items out of the dimensional space one after another. Glutinous rice, rooster blood, boy's urine, black dog blood, melon seeds, bottle drinks, mineral water, bread, peachwood swords, and he lists every one of them on the trading floor for barter. Cards only, nothing else accepted. Cards are the other road to killing value. And gather enough of them, and you eat well without ever bloody your hands. A lesson the last space taught him, which is why he stuffed the dimensional space to bursting before he stepped in this time. All of it was for this exact moment. This is why they call dimensional space a god-tier gift in here. Yuan stops watching the listings the second they are up because he is not worried about buyers. With this flood of newcomers, there is always a sucker. And even the veterans who know down to the decimal what a card is worth will trade for glutinous rice the moment they are cornered. Somebody wants to sell. Somebody needs to buy. Simple. Then his ears twitch, and he is on his feet grinning. Company. A few seconds is all it takes, and the stiff shapes come hopping merrily up to the courtyard gate. A pair of plain zombies by the eye of insight, and his interest dies on the spot. 10 minutes for the zombies is a joke of a rate. At the gate, they work their nostrils, fix on him, and lunge together with a low growl. Yuan cannot be bothered. Red light wakes in his hand. Yuan stamps the ground and blur out of where he stood. The blade flashes once, and both of them lock up midair before a black seam opens across each body, and they drop apart into four smoking charred black halves. Yuan blinks back to his chair and sits down to wait again. Kill, wait, kill. And an hour of it later, he has the guard mission mapped. Leave the zombies alone and no fresh ones come. Kill one, and the next wave arrives about 10 minutes on. Each wave one body larger than the last. The difficulty creeping up by design so a man who only wants to survive can simply pen them. Refuse to kill, and wait out the dark, and the mission clears itself. Fine for someone short on strength. Not what he is here for. Yuan came to carve his way through the whole night, and the faster he kills, the more of them he draws. And even this feels too slow to him because that 10-minute gap between waves is pure agony. So, he decides to get reckless, and a small red vial appears in his hand. 3-flower light blood. The upgraded formula. A concentrate refined from blood essence that you cut into water to drag every blood eater within 10 miles straight to you. Yuan sets out a basin, fill it, and tip the vial in. And a thick reek of blood climbs into the sky and rolls outward from the little courtyard. In every direction it takes. Now he only has to sit and lets them come to him. So he drops back into his chair, watching the gate with real anticipation. In a cleared patch of woods not far off, ground that human hands once tended. Headstones lean everywhere. A graveyard. The reek of blood washes over it, and the earth begins to churn. A pair of black, hairy hands punching up through the soil. Then another. Then 100, heads and shoulders heaving free. The zombies claw out of their own graves and go hopping one and all toward the ancestral hall. Deeper still, in a dark, wet cave. A coffin stands with a strip of yellow talisman paper pasted across it. Faint gold light guttering along the characters. No mere decoration, the blood reek seeps in through the seams, and after a moment, the coffin itself begins to drink, pulling the bloody air greedily inside until a full minute later, the draw cuts off, and the whole box starts to shake. The talisman's gold light races and strains to hold the lid down and loses. The shaking building and building until a crack splits the wood and the coffin bursts apart. In a spray of splinters, what stands in the wreck is a zombie in armor. Its face like it was doused in acid. The beard skin thick with hair, to green eyes that crawl right into you. It is a long stride above any common zombie. It works its nostrils, hauls the blood scent down deep, and the dull green in its stare kindles into something hungry and alive. Before it launches out of the cave mouth like a fired shell. None of that reaches him yet. Yuan has just cut down another wave, 7 this time, and he looks from the gate to the basin of blood soup and frowns, because 10+ minutes have crawled by without a single extra zombie showing. And surely a wilderness burial ground is not this empty. One vial's reek only holds an hour before it thins, and he would hate to have wasted it. Then the next wave pays out. No lured horde yet, but 3 cards and it goes the way these things always do. Nothing and nothing and nothing. And then when it finally drops, it drops big. Yuan had killed a mountain of zombies without 1 card and started to think. He had walked out under a bad sign. And here the luck was waiting in this wave all along. 10 pounds of premium glutinous rice, half a liter of boy urine, half a liter of mineral water, 2 anti-Z goods, and 1 for living on. Yuan pockets all 3 without a thought because using them is a waste when he could trade them for killing value instead. Then a messy clatter of feet drifts in, and he goes still and his eyes light. Here they are. Yuan flashes to the gate, raises the flashlight, and sweeps the beam across the small forest, and he actually catches his breath, because the trees are packed solid with hopping shapes. Hundreds of them at a glance. The zombies came, and he never dreamed the lure would work this well. Crude technology, and even cruder tactics, and with the space feeding them. The combination is nothing to laugh at. For anyone else. Hundreds of zombies at once would peel the skin off a 2-star survivor if it did not kill him. Outright, because the things do not fight fair. It is a straight mob assault. And there is the zombie poison waiting on every scratch for him. It is no trouble at all. Yuan does not fear a mob of monsters. Yuan fears only that they might not appear. Every fear he has ever had traces back to not enough firepower. And firepower is the one thing he is never short of. A black sheen monster of a gun settles into his hands. The magically modified Vulcan Gatling gun out of the dimensional space. 6,000 armor-piercing rounds a minute with no bottom to the magazine. Time to break it in. Heroism swells up in him, but he does not fire yet. Yuan turns, pulls back into the ancestral hall, and plants himself at the doorway. The cards the monsters drop are his main income, and he is boxed in here anyway. So he has to kill them inside the courtyard to gather the loot. And the hall is a gift of a fort. Walls on every side, no windows. 1 gate. Hold the gate, and nothing reaches him from any other angle, and the roof rides 5 or 6 meters up. So unless they sprout wings, there is nothing to fret over. And if he kills fast enough, a pileup never happens. Yuan flicks out a heavy stone park table, sets the Gatling gun on it, drops a chair beside it, and sits. Yuan has that table only because he kept cramming the upgraded dimensional space full, for the plain comfort of it being packed, meaning to use the thing as backup or to drop on someone's head. And here it turns out to be a gun mount. Easy, he mutters, and waits. The zombies are in no hurry, and after a stretch, they finally come hopping in through the gate, cheerful as ever. And once the leaders have crossed half the courtyard, he squeezes the trigger with real joy. A storm of metal pours out of the muzzle. Streams of armor-piercing light hammering into the dense-packed dead, and they stall in their tracks, and then drop in swaths like cut wheat, clean and final right to the end. These things never grasped that they had come to gang up unfairly only to meet someone who cheats far harder. The front rank got the worst of it. Riddled into ragged shreds, flesh churned, head simply gone. 6,000 rounds a minute, and he holds it down a full 2 minutes. Better than 10,000 rounds before he eases off. Nothing left standing in the courtyard. Part of the courtyard wall is gone too. Shot clean off by his own barrage. The zombies that never squeezed inside lie dead outside it, and further out. He can just make out more of them still coming, but those need time. Yuan takes up the laser sword and runs out to meet the dead. Finishing, scooping cards, finishing, scooping cards. The whole thing smooth as if he had drilled it 10,000 times in 20 seconds clears the field. 8 cards of every kind. Good yield. Once again, he falls into the same profitable loop. Kill the monsters, sweep the field. Kill, sweep. And he never tires of it, because it is easy and efficient and it pays. Why would he not be happy? It only holds up because of the infinite Gatling in his hands. And any other weapon would have left him high and dry long ago. The reward of knowing what comes. Yuan has just finished gathering another armful of cards and turns back for the Gatling. When a thin whistle of split air brushes his ear, Yuan stamps down, throws himself sideways, and snaps the laser sword up to guard. And only then looks. A tall zombie in dark bronze armor stands where he had been. Yuan is not alarmed. Yuan is pleased. That build, that aura, plainly a special one. And the eye of insight sweeps it at once. A mutated zombie combat rating 2-star early stage carrying zombie body at yellow, copper skin, iron bones at yellow, bloodthirsty recovery at blue, blood tracking at yellow, and olfactory perception at yellow. Copper skin and iron bones appears on the trait sheet, and Yuan likes what he sees. Having missed its ambush and watched him slip it, the mutated zombie only spares him a glance and turns for the hall, drawn to the fat well of blood sent inside, hungry for the concentrated blood. The armored zombie decides the prey that dodged can wait until afterward. 2 steps in, its vision blurs, and the blood food it had shelved is already standing in the doorway. Yuan asks the big fellow from behind the Gatling whether he is ready. It takes the question as a taunt, loads both legs, and all but flies at him through the air. A wall of metal answers, a net of countless rounds, and it feels its whole body punched through in the same instant. Its prized copper skin and iron bones tear like wet paper, and before it can wonder what hit it, dozens of yellow rounds swell up in its eyes and its head bursts and the body drops like a wet rag. The prompt gives him 100 points of killing value at full rate at last. Kill for kill at the same level. Yuan takes the shed orb and claims copper skin and iron bones at yellow, which hardens his body against ordinary blades and guns. A warm current rolls through him, his bones prickling, his skin drawing tight. Quick to come and quick to go. The constitution column does not move, but he feels the change in his own frame. So, he pulls an ordinary dagger and draws it across his forearm, and the edge slides over the skin like it is sliding over sheet metal, not even a white line. Yuan leans into it, and only then does a faint red mark rise. He smiles. With defense like this, no common zombie can even open him, and this whole run has quietly parked him in a nearly unbeatable position. So, killing value onward. The prompt confirms that the basic mission to guard the ancestral hall is complete, and pays 100 points of killing value. Dawn breaks. The mission clear notice hangs before him, while the corpses heaped through the hall crumble into black mist under the first sunlight and bleed away into nothing, leaving a courtyard that looks like it took an artillery barrage. Yuan puts the big gun away and counts the take. 38 cards and 4,823 points of killing value. Over 4,000 zombies in one night, which is merely average. Mostly because the later waves thinned as the run went on. The whole neighborhood's dead, likely already drawn down onto him. Mission done. No more reason to sit on the hall, so he slips out. Sunlight climbs and the dark pulls back, and the zombies retreat to their shadowed holes. 2 lie dormant, the danger easing off long enough for survivors everywhere to set out hunting for other living people and for supplies. Yuan moves through the forest and hacks apart a snake that had gone still as a branch for camouflage. Then he walks on. The killing world is not only monsters. It holds plenty of dumb ordinary wildlife, too, far weaker than the monsters. So weak that killing them pays no killing value at all. To a normal survivor, they are still a real threat since one venomous snake bite can end you, unless you happen to be him. Yuan has not gone far when he stops short and fixes on the ground ahead, and a few seconds later, the grass thrashes and a rabbit bolts out, freezes at the sight of a 2-legged beast, then kicks off and streaks past him and away. It is the first crack in a dam. The grass ahead heaves and rabbits and squirrels and mice pour out in a flood, every one of them ignoring him utterly, tearing past toward his back. Then a wild boar crashes out of the brush and charges him in blind panic. And when he has sidestep, it lunges through empty air and never so much as turns its head. Just barrels on, snout high, gone behind the scrub in a blink. His face goes hard. Yuan stamps down, spring onto a big tree nearby, climbs to the crown in a few moves, and clear the canopy to see out. And there it is. Black smoke boiling up, red light climbing into the sky. Some idiot has flipped the board and set the mountain to light is his first thought. Yuan is certain it is arson and not nature because this is zombie ground. The yin here is thick. The tree soaked in it, and wood like that does not catch on its own. And no lightning strike ever raised a blaze this size. Yuan complains out loud that only a full torch is a mountain in daylight when the zombies are hidden, and there is nothing to burn. And worse, once night falls and the dead come out, A scorched bare slope only makes people easier to find with nowhere left to hide. Down the chat channel, the same fury is boiling over. Survivor after survivor screaming about who lit it while they are still up the mountain. One spent the night tree by zombies and climbed down straight into the spreading flames. One woke in his hard one tree hollow to find his backside on fire. Through the venom. A single instruction spreads, everyone converge on the fire. There is a village there. A few sharp voices are already accusing the loudest complainers of being the arsonists showing their tales. But honest or not, every one of those bodies is turning toward the fire because that way lies safety and people both. And outrunning a fire at your heels forever is no plan at all. On a path at the forest's edge, two men stand watching the blaze climb. One with a paw-kilometer's face frets to the other, calling him Brother Donkey. Worried they will roast the very people they meant to draw instead of pulling them in. The long-faced man waves it off, saying, anyone who cannot outrun a little fire like this may as well not be breathing. And that between a blaze this size and the message just posted, everyone for miles will funnel straight to them, which is plenty. He tells paw-kilometersark they are done here and heads back toward the village to meet up with Brother Joan. Yuan stands there staring into the firelight, chewing on a memory that has just surfaced. Village. Fire. This might be the infamous Dung Dong village. As he remembers it, the space holds 9 villages scattered across its regions, with mountain ranges walled between them. And in his last life, one of the 9 was notorious. Dung Dong village for the massacre that wiped it out. The cause in the old reports was exactly this. Someone torching the surrounding forest. With the cover gone and the small animals scattered by the flames, the zombies could find no living creatures left to bleed. And Dung Dong village, packed with fresh human meat, pulled every zombie for miles down onto itself. A siege and the village annihilated. Its survivors turn one after another into the dead. Yuan drops out of the tree and head for the fire, because the village was his destination from the start. Not to save anyone, but to find the map inside it. These zombies are unlike the common kind, fiercely bound to their homes, retreating by day to sleep in their own lairs. And if he can find a lair, killing them by daylight runs several times easier than by night. Yuan happens to know where a few zombie nests sit, but each is keyed to a different village. With a map in hand, he can push his foresight to its limit, jump village to village and hunt down nest after nest. Maybe even turn up a mutated zombie or to worth a trait. His pace picks up. The nearer he gets, the hotter the air. When he reaches the fire, he finds it cut off by a stream 6 or 7 meters across. The far bank an inferno, his side untouched. A crowd already gathered along the water like it is a riverside picnic. Some of them even grilling fish. His rival turns every head. A man in camouflage with a receding hairline gets up smiling and comes over to ask easy and friendly whether he is headed for the village too. You do not slap a smiling face, and his manner is decent enough, so he tells him yes. He says not to be nervous, that we are all after the same thing. All bound for the village, but the fire ahead is raging and hard to cross for now. Lucky for them, this stream makes a fire break, so the whole group is resting here to wait the flames down before crossing the burnt ground. And he is welcome to wait with them. Yuan understands him well enough. A forest fire is no easy thing to walk through. The flame, the least of it beside the searing radiant heat, the smoke, the poison gases, any one of which can kill. The temperature alone runs far past what a body takes. Clothes enough to set your clothes alight, and even the strength in among them would come out dead or half dead trying bare. So they wait, but by his rede the fire needs 2 or 3 hours yet before it can be crossed, and he does not have hours to burn. Yuan thanks him for the offer, and tells him he is in a hurry and will go on ahead. He is not surprised and not worried either, because plenty here made the same choice, and every one of them came dragging back, singed and beaten, and some people only learn once they have paid for it. He tells him to suit himself and drifts back into the crowd, which promptly falls to whispering. One calls him another stubborn fool. Another reminds him he was the same green idiot once, and a third coughs that nobody could have guessed how hot and airless it was in there. Then of all things they start a betting pool on how many meters he will get before he breaks and runs. The wagers fly, most of them putting him at 10 or 20 meters. One crediting him the wit to soak himself and cover his mouth first for another 10. One staking on his clean clothes that he will bull straighten and fold at 23. Yuan hears every word and he laughs to himself. How would these people ever measure him? How would anyone who has never used a cheat understand the joy of it? His nanosuit alone holds a constant temperature and shrugs off flame. So heat and radiant burn are nothing to him. And a gas mask handles the poison air. And the only real danger left is the open fire itself. A burning branch dropping on his head, which he has already solved because he needs only hangs the mouth of the dimensional space open. above his head, and nothing that falls can touch him. With that combination, the fire that is death to them is a mild nuisance to him. Yuan ignores the chatter and walks to the stream, which turns out calf-deep and clear to the bottom. Little fish drifting by without a care, and his move to cross pulls every eye again. They argue over how he will do it. Wade and soak himself for the extra distance, or pick across the stones to stay dry given how clean he keeps himself. One of them, a fellow they call Little Huang, warns from hard experience that the stones are wet and slick and badly spaced, that there is no crossing them without falling. He swears on his life he will eat one of those stones if he makes it, and calls himself a dog if he breaks his word. Yuan does not want to get wet. That much they read right, and though the water is nothing to wade, he would rather not. So he checks his footing, step, and jumps stone to stone. The slick under his soles never touches his balance. At his stats, a little instability like that is beneath notice, and a few bounds carry him cleanly across smooth, as walking on solid ground. The bank erupts, someone gasping that he actually made it. Someone rounding on Little Wang to ask whether those stones were truly as bad as he swore. And someone else grinning, reminding the poor man that he had just promised to eat a stone. Little Wang's face freezes and works through several colors, and with the whole crowd watching, he finally grits his teeth and pays the forfeit, barking like a dog until they let him stop. Then a woman cries out for them all to look because he has walked straight into the fire, with no protection at all. Every head snaps to the far bank where he is strolling into the burning ground, like a man crossing his own backyard unhurried, untroubled. Behind him the crowd churns, insisting it is impossible, that there is no way he does not feel the heat, that he is not even short of breath. One decides he must have poured points into Constitution for the heat tolerance. Another argues that only explains the heat and not the breathing. And a third lands on the theory that he is holding his breath and moving slow to stretch it out. An old man of about 50 with half-white hair sizes that it is useless, that a little cleverness will not carry anyone across a fire zone, that he will suffer for it soon enough. Then a woman screams and points overhead, and every eye jumps to the great tree above him. A fire-weakened branch has just cracked loose and dragged half its neighbors down with it in a chain. A whole cascade of flaming wood pouring down at him like a fiery dragon. It lands in a string of heavy crashes, dust boiling up to swallow him whole. And the watchers go pale. This is the exact reason they would rather wait than cross. The danger that drops from any direction at once, and in his place. They would count themselves lucky to be only crippled. One woman asked whether they should go pull him out. The answers come fast and unanimous. Rescue with what, and who exactly would walk in there, and it is his own bad luck for not listening. When everyone said wait, and we are all grown and answer for our own choices, the woman gives it up. She had said it on reflex and truly of her hair caught, and she went bald over a stranger. She would cry herself to death. Then someone shouts again, and as the dust and smoke thin, an untouched figure stands in the middle of it, clothes still clean, face still calm, kicking the fallen branches aside and walking on like nothing happened. They cannot make sense of it. How a man takes that and comes out spotless, whether he might have a power. The receding hairline man says gravely that it is the only explanation. That surely he is the big shot who pulled a C rank in the last space, and the crowd falls silent and stares after him into the flames, with naked envy. Yuan never noticed a second of it, and would not have cared if he had. All he did was drop the falling branches through the dimensional space, and honestly, so long as it is not a person, this evolved space is a fine thing. Soon enough, he clears the fire and reaches the burnt-out ground where the blaze is already past. Only scattered flames left chewing at blackened trunks. Every leaf and blade has turned to ash lying thick underfoot, so his whole foot sinks in with each step, and the heat closes over it. Yuan lifts his boot and finds the sole softening, saved only by its quality from melting it outright, which tells him plainly how hot the ash still runs, though that is the fire having just come through, and in 2 or 3 hours it will have cooled. Yuan runs part of the nanosuit down over his feet to sheath the boots, because he does not fear the heat, but they do. A normal survivor at 10-point constitution would have unburnt shoes, and cooked feet inside a 100 more steps. The air is thick with acrid gas besides, so he pulls a gas mask from the space, and fits it before going on with no brush or thicket left to fight. His pace jumps each step lighter, and half an hour later a village stands in the distance, with a crowd gathered at its mouth. Dungdong Village's entrance, to groups squared off. A gloomy middle-aged man with triangular eyes leads a dozen people in matching camouflage, old rifles in hand, plugging the village gate and letting no one through, while a ragged crowd of survivors bunches a few meters off. They rail at him that the village is not his, that barring them is going too far, that charging an entry toll makes him no better than a street thug, that survivors are meant to stand together, and cutting people off will not end well for him. The triangular man does not move a muscle. So long as he does not log off, none of them can touch him. Then, as if their noise finally grates on him, he raises his rifle and fires around into the sky and barks at them all to shut up. And the crowd's voices choke off at once, every face turning to him in fear. He tells them flat that he has no time to play, that they either hand over one item off their person to enter or clear off, and stop being an eyesore. He warns them not to blame them later, because once night falls, the open ground offers no cover. And if something happens to them out there, they are not to regret it. Then he works his mind and an ice cone forms out of nothing at his side, Wong King in the air. It has point leveled at the crowd. The man has a power. His words boil everyone's blood. But between the rifle in his hand and the ice hovering beside him, nobody dares let the anger out. It is not that they have no spine. It is the corpse lying on the ground not far off, a standing reminder that this man truly kills. He sneers at their swallowed fury, calls them a pack of trash, says he is done wasting breath, that they hand over items and enter or get lost and stop blocking his business. Then he throws a subtle signal to 2 or 3 planted in the crowd and they take the cue at once. The first to step out is Brother Donkey, the long-faced arsonist from the fire, wearing a timid face now, asking whether whatever he finds inside the village is his to keep. The triangular man narrows his eyes and says that he, General Gang, is not a man who leaves others no room, that he collects the entry toll and nothing more. And whatever you pull out of the village is yours by your own ability. Dilapidated as the place is, he says there are still metal weapons and food inside, and getting your hands on those makes killing zombies easy. The crowd wavers. Brother Donkey grits his teeth, declares he will pay, and produces a white bandage from his shirt. A first aid bandage he says he bought from the killing mall for 10 killing value, asking if it buys him a way-in. The man grins wide, calls him a straightforward little brother, and waves him through the moment the bandage changes hands. A moment later, Brother Donkey's voice carries out of the village, marveling that there is actually glutinous rice in here, that now he needs not fear the zombies. And the hesitating crowd shivers with wanting because everyone knows what glutinous rice does to the dead. If a throwaway item buys a night shelter, plus weapons plus glutinous rice, the price starts to sound fair. Then a Pokilometer man, Pokilometer the other arsonist, jumps out claiming he is a newcomer with nothing from the space but a peachwood spear. He whittled from a tree in the hills and asks if that will do. And General Gang, delighted, says it will. His 2 shills are sharp and good at their parts. He is playing the herd instinct and playing greed like an instrument, because in this world only a scheme wins hearts, and you do not get people to hand over their things without one. Pokilometer goes in, and soon his voice rings out too, crowing that he has found glutinous rice, as well that he will kill a few more monsters tonight, and lift his rating for sure. At that the crowd breaks and surges forward, shoving their belongings at the guards to get in, and scavenge. The veterans all have something to give, and the newcomers who do not can whittle something, or throw it up on the trading floor to swap. As for those with truly nothing to offer, there is no helping them, since a man who will not even make the effort has no business inside. General Gang can no longer hold his grin. His 3rd planted shill has not even been spent, and the effect is already this good. Get the mood right, and the herd follows on its own. They stripped the village once already, and the glutinous rice was left as bait since so few of them could ever use a whole storm of it. Plenty to hand around, and it is only a 2-day stay. By the time he reaches the village mouth, he has caught only the back half of the farce, but it is enough to reconstruct the front. An interesting bunch. Yuan never heard of a power user named General Gang in his last life, so he most likely died in this space. Before long, more than half the crowd is inside. The rest shut out for the crime of having nothing. 2 choices remain for them. Leave now and find somewhere to hide from the night zombies, or stay and be the first meat. The dead reach when the dark comes. Yuan sweeps the remaining survivors with a glance and starts toward General Gang, because he needs a map and he does not know if the village even holds one. So, the sensible move is to ask the man in charge outright. General Gang is happily watching his people tally the loot when he feels someone bearing down on him, and his head comes up, rifle rising with it, telling him to go hand over items with the others. His eyes measure him as he says it, and something careful creeps into them because his face and clothes are clean, his bearing calm, and under his leveled gun, he does not show a flicker of fear. This one, he decides, is not simple. Yuan tells him he is not entering the village. Yuan wants to ask him for something. He narrows his eyes and says playfully that he had better not be about to ask for his life. The way it always goes on television. He feels a strange pressure off him and cannot place it, but he is not afraid. Not with a gun in his hand and more than one gun on his side and a power besides. Yuan shakes his head and tells him he has no use for his life, that he wants a map of the surrounding villages, and asks if he has one. He raises an eyebrow. He genuinely has no map, having never given the thing a thought. But hearing him want one, he decides a map is worth attention. He keeps his face flat and says, so what if he has one, and so what if he does not? And even if a map existed, what was Yuan prepared to trade for it? Yuan answers with a condition. General Gang hands over the map, and Yuan allows the group to keep breathing. The gold in the back of his eyes fades. The Eye of Insight has already read him. General Gang's combat rating 1-star early stage. A single trait to strip cold ice manipulation at blue. So it is confirmed that it is not only monsters who carry traits. People carry them too and drop them too. His power runs blue grade. No wonder he struts, but they are countrymen, so he is still willing to hand him a chance. And as long as he is sensible, he will not kill him for the trait. The premise being that he is sensible. Yuan's condition makes General Gang laugh angrily and ask whether his rifle has gone dull, or Yuan's courage has grown too large. General Gang cannot read Yuan, but he guesses the calm stranger must be another ability user because nothing else explains that. Confidence. To General Gang, Yuan must be either extremely strong or dangerously arrogant, because he is plainly not stupid. General Gang believes every forest holds strange birds, and this one has clearly allowed an unknown ability to inflate his confidence. Even so, General Gang remains cautious because abilities take countless forms, and Yuan's power might make firearms useless. After a 2-second silence, General Gang offers a test. If Yuan endures one shot, he will provide the map. The proposal is designed to force Yuan to reveal his ability, and neither man believes the exchange would truly end after one bullet. If the first round wounds Yuan, General Gang intends to follow immediately, because he believes every dangerous threat should be strangled early. General Gang saw one quiet traveler, but the Eye of Insight saw blue-grade power hiding behind his arrogance. One rifle could not erase the gap between a village tyrant and a survivor already standing at 2-star strength. Jotay had once buried Yuan beneath an army, yet every new monster now returned another weapon to his hands. Betrayal ended Yuan's first life, but stolen power was building the revenge that would define his second.